Your teams need to master new technologies fast, and they need answers to pressing problems right now. Don't stress. With O'Reilly, your tech teams can learn what they need and get back to work fast. Visit O'Reilly.com for a demo. That's O'Reilly.com.
Turned to the forefront of tonight's show. Okay, moving on here. Project Blue Book. Skip to Malou, nice to have you here. Magnus Zerum, Sweet Polly T, Ross Smith, good to have you all here. Jeff Steve Garvey, good to see you. Phil Minervino, nice to have you here. National Memorial, Marvin, thanks for coming on in. King Anthony, Sire, how are you? All right, moving on. And who else do we have? Sugar Britches, good to have you back. Lee Poping, nice to see you. Sovereign Farts, rip one for the rest of us if you don't mind. All right, where are we here on the roll call? Grandmaster, otherwise known as Gong Show. What's happening, buddy? And let's see here. Who else do we have? There's Logan L. Mystic Moon Cafe. We love them. And Gizzard Nuts on Twitch. Nice to see you, Giz. All right, who else do we have? We're caught up. We're done. Hey, a great way to support this show, guys, is through the Super Chat. Hi, Martin K. Nice to see you. As well as, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell, as we're about 20 seconds away from launch here on Spaced Out Radio. So excited to be back with you tonight. Thank you to all the veterans tuning in. Penman, Logan L., and Uncle Dale and his Power Stash are here. If you are in Austin, Texas, and you see Uncle Dale, rub his Power Stash for good luck right through tax time. Here we go. Horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire, checking out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Another good show for you all out there listening in, tuning us on in, and wanting some woo. Jacob Rice is here from Seattle's A Ghost Paranormal Team, or A Ghost, depending on what side of the border you're on. And you know what? You've also heard him if you tuned into our YouTube channel and hit subscribe. He's on the Angry Ghost Hunter as well with Merle and Ross Allison and myself. We love him around here. He's going to get all techie with us here momentarily. Then in the bottom of hour number 3, or at the top of hour number 3, we will bring you the Swamp Dweller as he comes out of the swamp to tell us another spooky story. Fedora John is back with the UFO report. We got Shirky Poo's news and the thought of the Dave. All right, Jake Rice grew up in a small town along a river and lake in Wisconsin. He joined the United States Army after graduating high school and learned a few things about codes. After that, he moved to Chicago to attend college and stayed for 18 years. That's where he had his first ghostly encounter and formed Ghostly Activities. It's also where he launched his blog, ghostlyactivities.com. A few years ago, though, he decided the West was calling. So he moved to Seattle, worked for a big tech company, and joined A Ghost with Ross Allison. He lives in Burien, Washington. His spouse and him have 5 dogs, massive paranormal library, and a ghost hunting gadget collection that is second to none. We're glad to have our good friend Jake Rice here on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, buddy?
I am good, sir. How are you, and how's the Spaced Out Radio crew this fine evening?
Well, life is good, and, I've wanted to do this show for a long time. You and I have been teamed up on Angry Ghost Hunter for the last 8-9 months, and we've talked a lot. We've become really good friends, but I've never heard your story. And I just thought, I thought to myself the other day when I called you up, I was like, who can I get? Because we had a cancellation. This is normally Science Bob and Friends. And Bob was like, dude, I can't do the show. I'm having some health issues. And I was like, no problem, Bob. I'll fill it up. And so I had that opening. I gave you a call, and I'm looking at my list, and I'm like, who haven't I interviewed before? And your name popped up like on the top of my MSN Messenger. And I was like, Jake, I have to do this interview. That's a sign. So I contacted you. I'm like, hey, you free? And you're like, yeah, man, let's do this. So I am so happy you're here, brother. I'm very happy.
Thank you. But just wait. Good vibes go out to Science Bob.
Absolutely.
Good vibes, Science Bob.
Absolutely.
Get healthy soon.
You know what? You would have been a perfect guest for Science Bob, too. Actually, yeah. You know, I think you would, because he's all into that tech stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
You know, so let's introduce you to our audience who may not have heard of you before. Congratulations and thank you for being a veteran. We appreciate it. We love our veterans around here. You know, what got you all techie? Were you always a little bit of a tech geek?
No, actually, you know, I'll just step back to as a kid, and really the tech didn't come until kind of Army and post-Army. But when I was a kid, growing up nowhere in nowhere, Wisconsin, if you got Wisconsinites on the line, I'm from Douglas County, Wisconsin, so Superior, across the bay from Duluth, Minnesota originally. And, you know, my life was reading comic books. I wanted to be a comic book artist. I played ice hockey. I was a right wing because, you know, that far up north, you might as well be in Canada, right?
Exactly.
and I had no inkling to really do anything all that technical. But it changed when I got in the Army. Without going into too many details, I was a code breaker in the Army. And so I learned a lot about using technology to figure things out, and it kind of stuck. So when I got out of the Army, I was the kind of guy that went to college part-time and worked full-time. And I got a job in IT. And it just started from there. I was a systems analyst and technical writer. So I was always fiddling around with the latest gadgets and software. And then at that point, it stuck because I studied economics in college. So, I mean, math, I wouldn't say tech. But, you know, the two are kind of closely related. And, you know, I got to Chicago in about 1995 to go to college. And, you know, I stayed in technology pretty much the whole way through. I did get a job, my first big grown-up job after I got my master's is I worked at a media agency. So, you know, those big advertising agencies, you know, they buy the Super Bowl commercials, all this stuff. Except I worked in search engine optimization. So it was my job to crack the algorithms. And let me tell you, being a code breaker helped a great deal with that. But still, very technical, a lot of website stuff involved.
That had to be fun.
Uh-huh.
You know?
I got deep, dark secrets about our government and the Canadians, too.
Oh, them damn Canadians. Shake my fist at them, you know? But, oh, man, I could go on a tangent there. You know?
You can't go on the riff, dude.
I know. You know, we don't talk politics here unless you're insulting Justin Trudeau, and that's the only one that works. You know, that's it. Trust me, America, you don't want any of that. You do not want any of that. But moving on here, before I slap the side of my face here for talking politics and breaking my own rules, you know, you got into ghost hunting how?
Okay, now this, I got to tell a story because I had an experience later in life. A lot of people have always lived in a haunted house, maybe had an attachment. They were size sensitive. I had nothing. And when I was about 30, I was living in Chicago. And I'll just tell you the encounter that I had.
Please.
And this is the thing that really put me on this journey with the paranormal. Middle of the day, it was like 4th of July weekend. It's about 2005. And I played beach volleyball. And I'm back at my apartment condo. Get in the elevator. I lived on the 12th floor. The elevator was excessively slow, like the kind of thing where it's rattling. Now, I lived in one of those converted luxury hotels, like back in the day, 1920s time frame, those luxury hotels. So everything was still very vintage. And the elevator got stuck between the 6th and 7th floors.
Oh my gosh.
And there was this weird static that started to come on. And so I'm thinking, do I have heat stroke or something? And I pressed the button to contact the management office because I'm stuck in the elevator. And while I'm doing that, I start to feel like this electric, like crackling static energy all over. And I saw something manifesting in the elevator. I wasn't scared. It seemed very pleasing, like comfortable. And I just said, look, I don't know what you want. I don't know who you are, but I'm fine. I don't need help. If you're here for a message, great. But like whatever's going on, I don't need it. And it went away. The elevator rattled a little bit and there was static. And then the office manager came over the intercom and they're like, sir, are you okay? Do you want me to call 911? And, they still had to pry me out of the elevator, which took about an hour. But still, that was the thing. But I didn't really start ghost hunting until 2 years later. I had to watch enough of those ghost hunting shows to build up the courage to actually go on my first ghost hunt.
What was that like for you, that first time?
My very first ghost hunt? Wow. I was very nervous. I was actually kind of scared because I had that encounter and I had been reading, you're going online and you're reading the stories for everything. And they all seem very dark entity will eat your soul kind of stuff. And I went on my ghost hunt and really nothing happened. At the time, I didn't really know much about the ghost hunting technology. So I had a K2, more on that later. If you listen to the Angry Ghost Hunter, you know what's about to drop. And I did have a spirit box, but I took my best friend, BFF Celine Graham, if you're out there, howdy. She still lives in Chicago. And, we just went and it was completely nice and pleasant and nothing really happened. But when we got to our third investigation, that's when we started to get things going. I mean, because we were fumbling through everything. We were complete idiots. I mean, if you're watching Ghost Adventures, right? And then you're out to do a ghost hunt, it's like, that's not what really happens in real life with ghost hunting.
Well, okay, so you go in that first one, you kind of get the addiction for the entire phenomena. What really turned you on about making this a very large part of your life? Because for a lot of people who are listening out there, they don't understand the thrill that goes along with chasing ghosts.
Yeah, so it's like the only, and I'll call it a hobby, because the only people that are true professionals are like folks with a tour agency, or, they're on TV. It's when you're out investigating, you sit around for anything to happen. And when you start to get that first blip on your meters, or you capture your first EVP, electronic voice phenomena, or that's the ghostly voice you get on a digital recorder, an audio recorder. It's just a thrill. It's like, oh my goodness, did I just make contact with the unknown? Am I making a big breakthrough? At least that's what it was for me. And, I would say if a lot of people don't continue to get these ghostly experiences and they drop off, but I'm totally into mysteries and the unknown. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but it's just something about figuring out the unknown became very, I wouldn't call it addictive. I can put down the millimeter. I can put down the millimeter when I need to. But it's that thrill of discovery that you get that just set me off.
For me, it was trying to figure out what is going on. At that point, before I'd even ever been on a ghost hunt or knew what one was, I'd worked in a haunted building. I had lived in a haunted house. The haunted building was absolutely freaky. That scared me. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, every business in that building has failed. in that
interesting.
one section of the building in Abbotsford, British Columbia.
Okay, I might have to interview about this. Ooh, Abbotsford's absolutely lovely.
Yeah. So it was just terrifying there. Terrifying. Like even a on a $50,000 piece of equipment, out of nowhere, the one pipe that had never broken that this company has installed for ice making equipment, this one pipe that had never broken on any machines before, blew up and started a fire in the ice rink.
I was going to say ice making machine caused a fire.
Yeah. Go figure.
I know, right?
Yeah. Go figure, right? But seriously, dude, it was the weirdest thing. One quick story I love to tell about this is one night my cousin and his girlfriend, I was working the night shift and I had to close up, and our last people on the ice got off the ice about 10 o'clock, and then I had to quickly clean up, and then afterwards we were going to the bar. Yeah, I'm 19, 20 years old. I mean, what else are you going to do? And I literally had my cousin, I was cleaning up and sweeping up the dressing rooms, cleaning up all the tape and beer cans and whatever that were left over. And it wasn't your normal size hockey rink. It was about 2/3 size. It was a training facility. Okay. And anybody who knows hockey, like you do, Jacob, there's a very distinct sound when puck hits glass and when puck hits boards. Now, there was only 3 of us in the building. We had the doors locked. And all of a sudden, we hear pucks going off the glass and the boards. I'm only 40 feet from the rink, from the entrance to the rink, and I run out there, and everybody heard it, and run out there. I'm like, who's on the ice? There's no one there. There's not even a puck on the ice. And just chills, man. Chills.
Yeah, it was just like rapid fire, like someone was shooting off a gun.
Yeah.
With pucks.
It was like someone was taking a slap shot that was ringing at one end of the ice and ringing off the glass at the other end of the ice.
Hot damn.
Yeah, that's a very distinct sound. And it was crazy. Absolutely crazy there. And I don't know, they cut the rink out of a hillside. I don't know if there was bodies there or that they dug up or whatever, but that place honestly needs a cleansing.
Okay. Really, I mean, any connections to the tribe in the area?
Right in the middle of town.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, that would have to go back about 140 years.
Yeah.
But anyways, more about you here, my friend, because we could share stories all night long.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to interview you about that one for my podcast.
Absolutely.
It's got a podcast nowadays.
Absolutely. Who doesn't have a podcast these days?
I'm telling you.
But you're the guy who a lot of people come to for reviews about technical gear. And we're going to get more into your favorite ghost hunting stories and your recent encounter that you had just after New Year's. But, people come to you saying, hey, you're the guy who has no problem going and buying a piece of gear, and you kind of give a review of it all. And I think it's brilliant. Yep. I really do. How did you end up having that reputation?
Yeah, I think it was just from my blog, because I was, to be honest, I was watching a lot of the ghost shows at the time, or early in my ghost hunting career, and I was just sitting there, it's like, I think I could do this better, and especially when it came to the radio type stuff, because I was a signal intelligence analyst as a code breaker, so I knew about radio waves, microwaves, those types of things, and I just saw how gear was being used. And they were explaining the science behind it. I'm just like, that's not how sine waves work. And so I just got the gear. I would experiment. I would look, read the brochure. Yes, I'm the nerdy guy that reads the technical how-tos that come with the piece of equipment. And then I just bump it up against what I know about how the technology is supposed to work, how the physics are supposed to work. And test it in the field and pretty much see if I can break it. And again, this goes back to my career in tech, because as a systems analyst, technical writer, your job is to QA a lot of software, new applications, new systems, and see where the points of failure are so it can be fixed. So when I do write these reviews, though, sometimes I'm a little vicious when I review them, but I always provide an option on how to improve the products and make it better for everyone, because I love my gadgets. I love ghost hunting. I mean, I'm a big advocate for ghost hunting, and I want the gear that we use to improve beyond something I bought at Home Depot,
No, and I understand that, and I can appreciate that. But for those of us who, in one of our 3 burning questions that we did last night, Dave versus Dave, I've taken a lot of what you guys have taught me on the Angry Ghost Hunter on our YouTube channel, which happens the final Wednesday of every month. And one thing that I've learned is we see people we see these paranormal teams that are literally breaking their banks to buy all of this expensive gear. And, I realize a lot of it has to do with persona. If I'm inviting a ghost team into my business or my home or wherever I am, and I see them carrying in 6 or 7 suitcases full of tech, I'm going to think that these people have their crap together. You know what I'm saying?
So image.
It is
style
image.
Over substance, yeah.
It is image. So what do you think about that?
Okay. I'll be frank with you. The more gear I review and use and test, the less gear I use. And that's because there's a lot of crap out there. And at the end of the day, you really only need something that's going to be good at collecting audio evidence or visual evidence. And that could be, I would say I lean more to video than pictures, because with video you get context. And then maybe an engagement object. And this is things like a Boo Buddy. Okay, I'm pro Boo Buddy, for example. But something that if a spirit is there and it's strong enough to manifest and manipulate something.
Your teams need to master new technologies fast, and they need answers to pressing problems right now. Don't stress. With O'Reilly, your tech teams can learn what they need and get back to work fast. Visit O'Reilly.com for a demo. That's O'Reilly.com.
Every year, we say we'll wake up earlier, exercise more, really rest, and eat healthier. It's hard for us, but for dogs, not so much. Dogs are up at dawn, run for fun, sleep like champs, and they love eating fresh, healthy food every single meal. Give your dog another healthy habit. Real fresh food from the Farmer's Dog. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/listen.
Something that you can capture moving or lighting up, something like that. And I don't think you really need to waste your time on the other things whatsoever. I mean, still, at the end of the day, you want audio, you want visual, you want engagement, you want a personal experience, and then you want something that does environmental factors, that measures like the temperature, EMF. I would also consider an environmental factor, because you'll take all those different data points over the time period that you're investigating to see if you get hits on all of them. Because it's much harder to debunk when everything goes off than if it's just 1 or 2 items over like an hour-long period.
I'm a firm believer, and I know you and I are going to agree to disagree on this, and this is quite okay. But I'm a firm believer that, and I know you are very picky and stingy on equipment that works, that doesn't work. And I think that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But I also believe, maybe from my own personal experiences, that this spiritual world is so weird and we're so not able to understand the capabilities of it, that something that works for you may not work for me, or vice versa. I know, for instance, you hate, K2 meters. You dislike ghost boxes. Yet for other people, they seem to have this uncanny ability to get messages through that. Could, scientifically speaking, it doesn't make sense, as we got about a minute to go, and we could carry this answer over. But is it possible that certain gear may be only good for certain people?
I would say it's the person using the gear, and they might have a preference for those gadgets, but I think it's the person themselves. Like, there's certain locations where I always get ghostly evidence. Doesn't matter what gear I'm using. And for other people, they get ghostly evidence with certain gadgets like an ITC, a ghost box, or spirit box, for example. So, the one thing that we really talk about is maybe there's something about the person themselves that is really the trigger.
So the person is the conduit then, and the gear is just something different. Like, trust me, I don't buy apps. I don't ever want to see any of my listeners buying a ghost app because it's a waste of money. Anything programmed to me is a waste of money. Let's continue this gear conversation when we return from the break here. Our good friend Jacob Rice from A Ghost down in Seattle.
I say A Ghost.
You say A Ghost?
I say A Ghost.
Doesn't Ross say A Ghost?
I think he says A Ghost.
Yeah,
I say
he's
A
weird
Ghost.
though. He's weird though. Ross sells it.
Yeah, he is true. It's true.
Exactly. Jacob Rice, paranormal technology, and we're going to get into some of his great stories, a personal encounter right after New Year's, and your questions later on Spaced Out Radio. Okay, big difference here is the audience can hear us right now.
Okay, yep, no problem.
Just the
Hi, gang.
radio side has gone to commercial here.
Okay, that's a big, long commercial break for radio.
It's because we don't take breaks in between.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so that's one of the benefits that our radio stations like is we're not having to, we're not coming in every 15 minutes.
Got it.
It's
not like 8 minutes, 2 minutes commercials, 8 minutes, 2 minutes commercials. Okay.
I'm having fun with you, dude. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, this is fine. We got questions from the crowd?
They know that questions will come in hour 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is our time to kind of get everything going. We got 101 watching on YouTube right now.
Oh, nice. And I'm glad we're calling this one technical because instead of scientific, because what we do is not scientific. We can add a little method to it, but at the end of the day, I'm using home and lawn garden gear.
Oh, I hear you.
I think I saw June. Hi, June.
Yeah, June is
Ross
here.
Might be coming.
June is here. July and August are here as well. But April, May, June from Vancouver Island has not arrived yet.
Oh, no.
I know, bud.
No. Oh, I know my Canadian trivia. I know that Pam Anderson's from Ladysmith on Vancouver Island. There you go.
And if you saw...
She was born on Canada Day.
Yes, and if you saw Lady... You know what? I will say this. For a lot of people who don't know, okay, here's the picture that discovered Pamela Anderson. This is the picture, and I had this poster. She was found at a BC Lions football game on the big camera, on the big screen.
Oh, okay. I can't see it. But I think I know what you're...
I'm adding it right now. This was her...
Is this the one where she's in the baseball cap? Or no,
this is Pamela Anderson.
Oh, geez, things changed.
So, if you do a comparison...
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but number 1 is much hotter than number 2.
I kind of like a Barbie doll.
I know. I mean, trust me, I'm not complaining about number 2. But yeah, Labatt Breweries used to have this advertisement that they called the Blue Zone back when they still allowed liquor advertising. And she,
what?
Yeah,
they don't allow liquor advertising?
Not before. I think it's 8:00.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is literally what Pamela Anderson looked like when she was found at a BC Lions game on the big screen, and this turned into this.
Well, she went all Hollywood.
She totally went Hollywood.
Yeah, but she's got that the documentary, the Pam and Tommy tape documentary is going to be out on, I think, Hulu. I think it's Hulu.
Yeah.
I loved Pam. Well, I mean, she's still alive, right? But
yeah. Yeah, and another piece of Pamela Anderson trivia. This Poison song, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, is about her breaking up and leaving Bret Michaels for Tommy Lee.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I mean, I don't follow that. I don't follow gossip like that. So.
Hey,
that's good tea.
That is a good hair metal piece of trivia right there.
Yeah, I was a huge hard rock fan, like Skid Row, Poison, Motley Crue, I think Guns N' Roses, of course. I got to tell you, though, once grunge hit, I totally flipped. Like,
not me, man.
I love Nirvana. I loved Alice in Chains.
I liked
Alice. Never a
Alice.
big Soundgarden fan. Yeah.
I couldn't stand Pearl Jam and Nirvana.
Stand up. I love Nirvana.
I was big into Soundgarden. Loved Soundgarden.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of hit or miss with me. It's Pearl Jam and Soundgarden weren't my favorites. A lot of the other bands at the time loved them. But you could tell we hit post-grunge. Once Bush came out, it's kind of like, dang, grunge was only 3 years. Real grunge was only 3 years.
It was dirty.
I loved it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Chris Mo in Austria, how are you? All right. A big thank you to Smithy for the Super Chat. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so much, Smithy, for kicking it off. If you go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, here we go. There's the SOR Vegas party link, and if you're going to Vegas April 22nd to 24th, and I'm going to convince Jake to come party with us, we're going to have some fun. Here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning us in. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, do us a favor, check out our free archives, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight. Technical Paranormal is the show title. Jacob Rice from A Ghost, or A Ghost. Depends on what Ross Allison calls his team. Ross is the kind of guy, and I love Ross. I have very few paranormal heroes in this field, and I know he's listening right now, but I got to have a big, big shout out and some love for our man Ross Allison, who is, in my opinion, pushing some incredible limits on trying to figure out what the paranormal is. And God love him, man. He is just, I think, one of the most brilliant minds of the paranormal. So shout out to you, Ross, for listening in tonight, wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. And one of his teammates, Jacob Rice, is here. He's a U.S. Army veteran. We love our veterans around here. Thank you again for your service, my friend. And what we were talking right before the break about the technical side of everything and whether or not technical gear can be used by anybody. Like, you have gear you like, you have gear you don't like, but then we got into an interesting fact about that the person could be the conduit as to whether or not the gear works. So how do you rip a piece of gear that, say, you don't like, yet it may work for me or someone else?
Yeah, I mean, so let's just be real. When I'm doing the reviews, okay, it's all very objective. You read how it's supposed to work, how the technology is supposed to work, what it's measuring, and you try to replicate the experiment with it. So you're taking this very cold, impersonal approach to it, but when you're out ghost hunting, at least I do this. I know a lot of my teammates on A Ghost does this. And did I say a ghost? A ghost. Well, I'll just switch back and forth. I'm half Canadian. I'll tell you about it later. And, I think the person, because it's a person trying to communicate with ghosts and spirits, I think you can form a connection that way, and whatever gadget you have helps that ghost talk to you. Now, for me, I'm not psychic whatsoever. This is why I depend on gadgets, right? So I think it's part of the person. I would say with certain gadgets like ITC, because that's like real-time communication. Mind you, I am not a fan. If you say ITC to me, it's not going to happen. But, for some people it might work. And I won't discount that. It's going to be the quality of the evidence that they come back with it. I know there's going to be, I know I'll come across kind of as the hard ass tech guy and stuff, but I do, it's paranormal, it's supernatural. I would say there are no rules, and conditions change, and you'll get different reactions because of it. For me though, I've got gadgets for me that always work well. And so I stick to those because, generally speaking, I have a really good response with them. But like I said, when it comes to a ghost hunt, I come in and the person's like, "Hi, my name's Jake. I'm here to talk to you. If I know something about the history, or if I've done my research and I know who the spirit may be, I'll try to find some consensus around that to see if we can get some kind of communication through my gadgets going on." Doesn't always happen. For other people, it always happens.
Where you and I will agree on the gadgets, and like I say to my audience, I don't ever like to see my audience get ripped off, whether that's through other podcasts, whether that's through technology or whatever. The one that I don't trust is a lot of apps. Apps are easy. Apps are easy to download. I may not have $400 for a piece of ghost hunting equipment, but I could afford the $5 app. Why are apps dangerous and a bad investment?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, if you're dropping $5 to $10, that's much cheaper, right, than going out and buying some of the gadgets that I have. So I kind of understand that. And I also understand if you're ghost hunting and you're really just doing it for a thrill, this is the way you can get the thrill. But here's the thing with the apps you have to know, and this is very much geared to a more serious ghost hunter. With the apps, read the terms and conditions, the fine print, because it'll always tell you it's for entertainment. But any app that says, "I would like to have access to your location, I would like to have access to your microphone," it's an algorithm, people. It's still software. It takes inputs, it goes through processing, and it spits out a result. Which means, if you have those personal assistants, you ask it a question, it goes searches the internet and pulls something back. It could search a bank of words and pull those words back as well. That does not mean a ghost is interacting with you and that app. And especially if it's a closed off sound bank kind of thing, Merle got me this one, Necrophonic, I think it's called. It says it's like a app spirit box and stuff. It's just a word bank of 3,500 words that spits stuff out randomly. And here's the other thing is, if you're using these gadgets you don't get a clear response within 15 seconds of asking your question, it's random. And I always tell everyone that if you're going to use a gadget, it's only right 5 to 10% of the time, think about it as a doctor. Would you keep going to a doctor and seeing a doctor that was wrong 90% of the time? Because I'd be losing a leg, if that were the case. So I'd say that's the way you got to think about these gadgets, especially ITC gadgets, is if it's so random, how can you trust it when it actually nails a question? I don't know. Maybe I over elaborated on that one.
No, I think you're right though, and as humans, our job is to tie anything to what that word says on an app. So if you all of a sudden have an app and you're sitting in a dusty old bar in a museum type town, which there are across North America, Barkerville up here in Canada comes to mind. There's a number in Nevada that are around. Ghost towns is what I'm talking about. And let's say you're in an old bar or a saloon, and all of a sudden, the word jukebox comes up, even though during that time period there was no jukeboxes, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, were you playing music? What music were you playing on? Like you can, as humans, we try and bring a 6 degree of separation to everything because we want it so bad, man.
Yep, it's same thing with matrixing and ITC devices as well. You got your ghost box. And a lot of times it's meaningless, or you're doing a recording of this is the new trend. It's not even a trend. It's been going on a while. And the ghosty shows, they record, they ask their questions for EVPs, they play it back, and they get like, and they're like, Dave was killed by Bill. And they're just imposing their words on it. They're not even trying anymore to get good EVP evidence. I'm looking at You Kindred Spirits. I watched that episode. Those were burps. Those were burps that came out of that recorder.
Oh my goodness.
I watch all the shows, by the way.
Well, but the important part about it is we see good people throwing away good money. Look, I don't care if an app is $5, $2, 99 cents, or $20. I think it also, though, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it also goes towards the fact, though, that a lot of people are downloading them for the thrill. Maybe they're not ghost hunters. Maybe they think their house is haunted. They don't want to call in a ghost team or anything along those lines. So maybe they just download an app. Is there a problem with that?
If it's just for fun, no. If your kid wants to have a sleepover, tell scary stories, and they pull out the mobile app and, have fun with it, for sure. I would have serious reservations if you're a professional team and you spend like $1,000 to investigate a place and you use an app as your primary, because it's not really going to give you any real evidence, nothing that you can check to confirm a haunting or help make an assessment about who a spirit might be. Right.
What's the dumbest app you've ever seen? Don't give the name because we don't want to get into trouble, but the dumbest app you've ever seen.
There's a few of the Spirit Box apps for your phone. I mentioned that one earlier already, which I have to say it does sound really great. It does sound cool. But the ones that operate just like a radio on your phone, Ghost Brothers tends to use them. But the thing is, it's only like $2.99. That's the whole thing. So for me, I'm just like, it's not even a Happy Meal.
The dumbest one that I ever saw that I downloaded was the Ouija board app.
Oh, I don't know this one. I'm going to have to just wait.
Oh, yeah. The Ouija board app is horrible because literally you put your thumb on it and then it starts moving, or you put your finger on it, it starts moving, but it's not doing anything that you want. It's kind of like controlled by something else. And to think that a spirit has literally infested and possessed your phone to chat with you, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
I've actually downloaded it.
You're that guy. You're that guy.
My phone remembered that I had downloaded it in the past.
Okay, it's horrible. It's horrible. Whoever thought about that? Pure entertainment, of course. But
just wait. It wants me to start my seance right now. Let's just see what happens.
Well, let's start your seance. Let's start your seance here. What are we going for? Do we need some humming?
Well, it actually wants me to do Lucky 7 right now. A gambling app.
Oh, wonderful.
It's spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning.
Oh, it's fired up. It's fired up.
This is the ad that plays. See, all these things are just to serve ads to people, especially the free versions of it.
Yes.
And now I have to sit through 13 or
Your teams need to master new technologies fast, and they need answers to pressing problems right now. Don't stress. With O'Reilly, your tech teams can learn what they need and get back to work fast. Visit O'Reilly.com for a demo. That's O'Reilly.com.
It's the classic dilemma at Whataburger. You pick up your all-time favorite patty melt with 2 fresh all-beef patties, melted Monterey Jack cheese, grilled onions, and creamy pepper sauce. And just when you're about to dig into Whataburger's take on this delicious all-time classic, someone utters the dreaded words.
Can I have a bite?
Should you? Shouldn't you? Maybe you should just take a big bite so you don't have to answer. Ooh, glad that dilemma's over. The Whataburger patty melt, just like you like it.
15 seconds of digital.
Through every 12 letters, does it go to a commercial or an advertisement break? So you're you're right in the middle of a sentence to talking to Grandma Dolly who died in 1976, and you're in communication, but it's got to stop for a game app.
Yeah. Okay. Now it comes up. Anyway, I just went through 4 ads for this thing. So all I can say is, how can we really use the Ouija board where it comes out and it's like sponsored by Geico? Yeah.
Well, better to have ghost insurance than none.
Very good point. Very good point. I mean, I don't know if ectoplasm is like flood damage, but I might have to buy a policy.
Jacob Rice is here on Spaced Out Radio, Technical Paranormal tonight. Jake, when you are going through the gear and what's your basic? If one of our audience members out there in YouTube land or in radio land wanted to try ghost hunting, what do you suggest for them?
Yeah, just start with your phone. Start with your phone. You don't need to get the gear because especially, if you get any smartphone that's come out in the past 2-3 years, it's got a great video camera on it, high res, and it's got great audio on it. The mic's like I've got, this phone. It's got a great mic and it can pick up a lot of stuff. So I would say just start there and get really good at setting up and using video and your audio on it before you move on to anything else.
And I think that's a good starting point. I mean, you can record audio, which means you can have EVP sessions. You can obviously video record. You can take photos. There's a lot you can do, but just don't download the apps.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the one thing I tell everyone, and a lot of folks don't think about this stuff, especially when it comes to their mobile phone, but you've got to get the video and audio off of it and you have to analyze it because even though it's a really good mic, you may not hear a ghostly voice when you play it back with your AirPods and stuff or your headset. You still have to learn how to use the software to cut it and how to work with the frequencies just in case you hear something to make it clearer because I'm hoping no matter what gadgets you're using, you publish. And that's one of the other big problems that we have in the field is those greedy ghost hunters not publishing their evidence.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if we'll have time to get into that tonight, but we will. And we have on the Angry Ghost Hunter on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. I want to ask you this. What is a ghost?
Oh, there's many definitions. So for me is the essence of a mortal. And that's just like regular Joe, like you and me, who has passed on and they leave something behind. It could be intelligent. It could just be what we call residual haunting, which is a spirit or ghost that goes through kind of the same motions over and over again. Doesn't really interact with you. And then you have the intelligent haunting side of it, and that is, it can communicate with you. So when we go on a ghost hunt, and say you start getting interaction with your boo buddy or whatever gadgets, you're getting intelligent responses, like when you ask a question, like, what is your last name? And it says Macklemore, that would be intelligent because it responded, right? Versus a residual haunting, which just might be phantom footsteps or odd knocks, things like that. It could be anything, though.
Do you believe that ghosts are of previous lives here on the planet? Or do you believe, I'm going to make this a little bit more technical, do you believe that because many scientists are really looking into the multiple dimension theory, that maybe, just maybe, we're not seeing ghosts, but we're actually tuning into a different timeline or dimension where those lives are in that place at that time?
You know, it could be either. It could be either. We just don't know enough. If we think more about physical science, it is probably more like a dimensional loop, maybe a time loop, maybe a thinness between different worlds and realities. And we're just engaging with someone that's here and now in their world, and they're going through the same experience we are. Like maybe they're on a ghost hunt too. Who knows? And, I would lean more to that than someone died and left an imprint behind.
Okay.
That's just me.
The reason why I ask that is I know from my own personal experiences, especially one in particular where we were communicating with a Chinese couple on the Gold Rush Trail.
Okay.
Back in 2018, Ross was actually up here at that time. He was playing his board games.
Is that the Barkerville area?
No, this is right by my place here.
Okay.
And we had there's no power lines or anything around. We had 9 K2 meters, and I know you're not a fan. Okay, we had 9 K2 meters going off at the same time, full peak red. And
full peak red.
And we started communicating. Yeah, it starts off with green and goes to red.
Yeah. No, I'm getting my gadgets out.
Okay, so what happened was when we started communicating, we realized it was a husband and wife from China came across and from the Orient, and were going up to Barkerville, which had a large Chinese settlement at the time. And when we said goodbye, we noticed that none of the meters were turning off. So, trying to think out of the box as to why this is happening, because for people who've never ghost hunted before, you're always trying to figure out the logical solutions, number one. And when it is illogical, you try and figure out, well, why is this happening? It's never happened before. So, I started going down the trail a little bit. I left the group, and my meter kept going off. It stayed on, red, 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 red. And then about 30 feet away, it went back to green. Green means there's no action. And then as I started walking back, my K2 started going back to red. Then I realized all of us were standing on the road. And the reason why I walked down the path was, in that time frame, you just didn't have people. They usually had a horse or two with a buggy. So when I walked past, that made sense that there were horses there and a buggy. And when we parted off the road on both sides, you could see as they walked through and down the trail, you could see all the K2 meters start to shut off.
Yeah. Now that's interesting. I have tried to replicate experiments like that with I've actually used my K2 because I'm going to be a little Debbie Downer here. Now, this sounds like you had an experience, but most people don't realize this. But only a couple of feet under, if you live in a suburb or something, you got power lines, and your K2 will pick it up. Not at full red. So that's the first thing I was thinking there, Dave. Is there possibly a power line or something going down the road? Because it's pretty common to have power lines, if they're buried, follow roadways.
Up here where I am, we haven't discovered underground.
You're still wires?
We're still wires, man.
Oh, jeez. The trees, man. The trees will knock your stuff right out.
Oh, trust me, man. Trust me. I know all too well. Right? Right? But that's the reality is we don't know if they are on a different plane, a different dimension,
Correct.
or anything along those lines. And for all intents and purposes, when we're out ghost hunting, we could be the ghosts, and they're having a paranormal experience on their end.
Yeah. But it's just little old us.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only, the only thing, the only thing that as we got about 90 seconds here, the only thing that kind of throws that whole theory out the window for me is when you get touched, punched, pinched, grabbed, kicked, or anything along those lines, or any type of physical harm that comes to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it just because you can't see them. I mean, if we're talking about the fabric of realities thinning down and stuff, someone could be reaching out to say who are, like, they can kind of see you. And, it's still physical. It can still be a physical touch, even though they're coming from another dimension.
Could be.
I don't buy demons. I'm not buying into.
Come on.
Demons.
Come on.
I mean, it's fun. It's good for TV and movies, man.
Oh, it's good ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some demons here, man.
That's right. I want to eat your soul.
There we go. That's enough to keep some members of our audience, up for at least the next 24 hours or sleeping with the lights on. Right there. Right.
Thank you very much.
That's Jacob Rice, everybody. Everybody, I'm going to get Jacob to hold on right here for a couple of minutes as we are going to go to break at the top of the hour. Technical Paranormal with Jake Rice continues on Spaced Out Radio. When we return for hour number 2 with the man, the myth, and the friendly legend we call Jacob Rice, we are going to get some of his personal ghost stories, including one that happened just a few days ago. Ghost stories, your questions if you're in our chat room, next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear, dude.
Tell me about those K2s, man.
That was a quick half hour. No, we were on a gravel road.
Okay.
We were on a gravel road, and 8 or 9 K2s, man.
That's
went off.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, the reason, so one of the big things about the K2 that I don't like, so let's just do some inside dish, behind the scenes for the folks.
Sure.
That are listening. It's one of the things that I've got. Another one is the ranges on it, and it always starts at green to say that you're already up to 1.5 milligauss. And a lot of times when you have a ghostly encounter, it's going to be low level. So this isn't really giving you any indication out of the get-go that you might have something. And it's important to do the ranges because, for example, if you've investigated a modern hotel, they got Wi-Fi routers everywhere, and that's going to make this thing go buggy. So I would rather have a digital interface one, and I've got one a meter K. It's half the cost of a K2, and you have accuracy there, and you can see what's going on. You can see what it's actually measuring. Still single axis EMF meter, anything's going to set it off. I did an experiment this past summer at my house, right? COVID lockdown. And I just put out all my gadgets and just checked to see if they would all go off at random times. And they did. My house is not haunted. And that's just because we have anomalies everywhere. So that's the other thing as a ghost hunter you have to think about is there's just going to be random anomalies out there that they're going to pick up too.
Very true. Very true.
So I finally got the app to come up after all that time. It was serving me ads nonstop.
Brutal. So Vegas, April 20. Make sure you put it on your calendar. April 22nd to 24th. And what we're going to be doing there is we're going to be having a Vegas party. If you are 100% going, I want you to go to the link that I put on the screen. All right? There's an email there at info@spacedoutradio.com. Make sure you give me your name and your size, because we are going to be doing gift bags, and I want to make sure that the first 50 people who sign up get a gift bag from us. I'm going to put some cool swag in there, people. Cool swag. Jeffrey wants to know, and thank you, Jeff, for that super chat down in Texas. I think you're coming to Vegas too, aren't you, Jeff? I believe you might be. Have you ever ghost hunted at the Ott Motel in Liberty, Texas?
No. I actually haven't done any ghost hunting in Texas.
Oh.
I had a ghostly experience in Texas, but
yeah, he sent me a video on YouTube about this hotel. It looks pretty badass, dude. Looks pretty badass.
Wait, what's? I'll check it out. How do you spell it?
OTT Motel.
Ott Motel. Okay.
All right, Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Hey, Thomas Fessler, the great cahoots of 2022. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you to all our listeners who go and support Thomas in Disclosure tonight. It is a great warm-up for Spaced Out Radio each and every night as he's on from 7 p.m. Pacific to 9 p.m. Pacific, and then it's a great warm-up. All you do is just change channels. You come right to us. If you haven't subscribed to Thomas's channel just yet, make sure you do so. It is very well worth it. Highly intelligent show, and we love our listeners. Check it out, highly intelligent shows like Thomas's, or if you want some fun, check out Sonny's Paranormal Chop Shop, the Chad Smith podcast, and of course, Ben and Joe at UFO Garage. You know, we only like to promote those that I feel are quality for our listeners to not only have fun but learn something. And these are podcasts and radio shows and YouTube channels that I highly respect the people. So make sure you check them all out and hit that subscribe button on theirs as well. Thank you, Thomas. Once again, a big thank you to Smithy, Terry, Cat Chaser, and Dry Toast as well for the awesome super chats. Really appreciate the love, everyone. Vegas, April 22nd to 24th. And if you are going 100%, let us know so we can make sure that you're going to get yourself a grab bag. Also, I will be speaking at UFOCon 2022. So go to website UFOCon2022.com in San Francisco, California next month, February 25th to 27th. As well, I will be speaking at MUFON Symposium July 8th through 10th in Colorado. Denver, Colorado. I've never been there. Very excited in going there. And make sure you check them on out. Lynn Wallington, by the way, I'm expecting her to be linked up to the UFOCon 2022 as well, to be a speaker there as well. So if you aren't going to Vegas, but you want to come to San Francisco and see Lynn and myself, you know, come there. We want to meet you. We definitely want to meet you February 25th to 27th. All right, we got like 5 seconds. Hold on, guys.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Vacuist. Vacuist is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight, Technical Paranormal. Jacob Rice, he's a ghost hunter and technical specialist out of Seattle, Washington, and he is with Ross Allison on his team, a ghost, whatever you want to call him. Just call him a ghost. It works. Or AGHOST. Whatever you want.
The AG host.
AG host, that's right. AG host. Jake, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
All right, recently, you had a paranormal encounter that you can't explain.
Correct. Yeah, and this stuff doesn't happen to me, so it was really interesting. Here we go. I was just at home, and I've got a fenced-in property. So the fence that surrounds the driveway, where like deliveries would come and everything, is probably 150 feet away from the door, and I have a buzzer. And this was on Sunday, January 2nd at 4:30 p.m. I remember this so very well. So right when it's getting dark up here in the Pacific Northwest, and the bell rang. So, kind of weird because right after the holiday, I wasn't expecting any deliveries. And I've got, as you can see, back there, probably. I've got a monitor. We have cameras around because now I live out in the boonies and you really never know what's going to be coming up. But I didn't see anyone at the front of the gate. So this was right after we had the big storms, a lot of snow down here and everything. And I was just thinking, okay, maybe there's a glitch with the buzzer. Maybe water got in and ice or something. I should go check this out and get it fixed. So I left the dogs out. So I've got 5 dogs. The 2 big ones were out, Mikey and Daisy. So they're 85-plus pound pit bulls. Okay. And I get to the gate, and I'm going to open it, and there's a kid standing there.
Oh, my.
And which is kind of weird because on the road I live on,
Keeping your tech teams on top of the latest developments is a monumental challenge. Helping them get answers to the urgent problems they face daily is even harder. That's why over 60% of Fortune 100 companies count on the O'Reilly Learning Platform. At O'Reilly, your teams will get live online courses, tons of resources, truly interactive scenarios and sandboxes, and fast answers to their most pressing questions. See for yourself what O'Reilly can do for your teams. Visit O'Reilly.com for a demo.
Every year, we say we'll wake up earlier, exercise more, really rest, and eat healthier. It's hard for us, but for dogs, not so much. Dogs are up at dawn, run for fun, sleep like champs, and they love eating fresh, healthy food every single meal. Give your dog another healthy habit. Real fresh food from the Farmer's Dog. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/listen.
my house is the only one with a fence. So I'm like, what's this kid doing here? Because, he could have gone over to my neighbors to the right who opened property. And I'm just like, oh, hey, are you lost? And it was a boy. I'm not good with kids. I don't have kids. I got dogs, okay? But he was about 4.5 feet tall, so I'm thinking he might be 10. And wearing a gray hoodie, blue jeans is what I could see. It's a wood fence, so there's like these 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch slots that are open, so I could see through. And I couldn't. He might have been Latino or Native American, something like that. And he's like, "Could I use your phone? Can you let me in? I need to use your phone." Oh
my gosh!
And I'm like. And I had my phone, but I'm just like, it's like, kid, just tell me what your parents' phone number is. I just thought, some kid around here may be lost. It's kind of a country road. And he's like, no, I need to come in. Can you open the gate and let me in? And I'm like, kid, just give me your phone number. That's all you got to do. And then Mikey, who's I mentioned the 285-pound plus, Mikey's the 100-pound pit bull. He's the one with the crocodile-sized head. He starts to growl and bark at the kid, and Mikey is a lover. Okay, he looks ferocious. He's a lover. And so I turn and I go, shh, at him, because he wanted to play ball. And I look back, and the kid's gone. And then I opened the gate. So I couldn't see his eyes. I couldn't see his eyes, but I'm thinking it was the black-eyed kid.
No!
Which is kind of weird because that week we were going to do a show on black-eyed kids. And so this is my kind of experience when certain new topics I've never experienced before. I've never really talked about black-eyed kids on Mystic Moon Cafe. You know, I do another little radio show thingy. And we were having that as a subject. And, you know, I've never experienced it before, but there are certain points in my ghost hunting career when I've done something really new or trying out new gadgets, and then all of a sudden I had to experience with something paranormal. It only happens to me every few years, but this is the first time I think I ran into a black-eyed kid. When we did the show, I didn't read anything about ethnicities of black-eyed kids. I just thought they kind of looked like white kids, standard white kids, but this kid, he was Native American or Latino. I couldn't get a good enough look. Anyway, so that's what happened on January 2nd at 4:30 p.m.
Oh my goodness. Dude, that is something, I've experienced a lot of stuff, man, but that is something that I do not want to experience.
I'm glad I did see his eyes because the hoodie blocked them, and then after we did the show, it was like if they come in and they actually show you their eyes, that's when the mojo happens, or the mental manipulation, I guess, that they do. And but I that didn't happen. Mikey kind of broke it.
Did you have any fear?
No, I actually thought it was just a regular kid. I'm just like, why do you want to use my phone? And don't all kids have cell phones nowadays? So that's why I was thinking he's got to be lost. Maybe he was dumped. I don't know. But I thought it was weirder because he was at the house with the fence while the other houses they don't have fences around them. You can walk right up to them. I don't know why my house would
he's
be singled
behind
out.
a fence.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's behind a fence, and you can see him through the slats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you know he didn't run off?
Well, because Mikey barked, I went, shh, and I turned right back. I didn't hear anyone. I opened the gate to take a quick look, but there was no...
And you would have seen if somebody was there.
Yeah, yeah, because if I open up
away.
the gate, it's open to the road.
Right.
And it's just a field around me.
Oh,
yeah, but who goes, open your gate, I need to use your phone, let me in. I'm just like, you're a little demanding stuff. You're a little demanding stuff, aren't you?
Mennonite Abe wants to know, did your cameras catch anything?
No, actually they did not. And that was the weird thing, because I do have a camera out there where the ringer is. We have a little security camera right there. And I didn't see anyone. Then that's why I thought the buzzer ice got into it or something, because we just had a big snowstorm right around there. It had melted and everything. So I just thought my buzzer was wonky because I didn't see anything. And then I got out there. There's the kid. And I don't know if they show up on camera or not. You know, some paranormal entities don't show up on cameras. The cameras I have are infrared cameras. Oh, maybe I'm giving way too much. The thieves are going to come check me out now.
All I'm saying is there are very few experiences that I do not want to experience. I never want to see a dog man.
I would love to see a dog.
Not me, man. Not me, because the minute I got that telepathic woo in my head from it talking, I would be out of there. I'd faint. And I never want to see black-eyed children. Bring me the Men in Black. Bring me aliens. Bring me Sasquatch. Okay, bring me anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's
All right.
the one thing I don't know about black-eyed kids. Are they ghosts? I mean, I wouldn't classify them as a cryptid, but are they ghosts, specters? Are they... I've always thought they were more alien hybrid type things, like Children of the Damned. But I'm coming from Black Eyed Kids, mainly from a pop science fiction angle on it.
Well, they're definitely real to you now. Carol wants to know, did the camera show you out there talking to no one?
It did. It did.
Oh, my gosh. That's just terrible.
I was out there with the dogs, but there was no kid.
So the camera's picking you up clearly.
Yep.
You're looking at a boy, and the camera's not picking up the boy.
Correct. And that's the one thing. I was looking for Black Eyed Kids after this. Well, after I did more research for the show that was coming up, and I never saw anything to say if they could be picked up on camera or not. I don't know if that's an attribute they have or not. Because, ghosts, sometimes they do show up on cameras. Sometimes they don't show up on cameras.
Don't like it. Any UFO sightings since then?
Out where I live?
Yeah.
I'm not... I mean, I live in an area where actually Sasquatch and UFOs are pretty common. I moved out of Seattle during the pandemic, so now I'm kind of in a more rural area closer to Mount Rainier. And they talk about the Black Hills and stuff. That would be a Sasquatch area. And there's a couple reports, every few years you'll get something about it. But I don't know anything about the UFOs. I do live next to a big military base. So you think if something's going to come and check it out, they'd be looking at the military base because it is an Air Force base too. But I can't say I've seen UFOs.
If you want to attract Sasquatch, sprinkle tobacco in your property as a gift.
Tobacco
is a friendly gift as an offering.
Okay. Well, my BFF Sandy down here, she lives right up next to those hills. So I'll just go down. When it comes to the tobacco, is it like the dried leaves, or can I break up a cigar?
You can break up a cigar, a cigarette.
Okay.
They prefer the natural kind.
Okay.
Because you don't want the chemicals, but that might be a human answer. I don't know.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll go down to Sandy's because, like I said, she's closer to Sasquatch country than I am, just by a few miles. So if anyone's going to have it, she'll probably have it more so than me. So I'll make sure I go down there and do that test.
Jacob Rice is here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Jake, let's go into some ghost hunting. Have you ever been?
Yep.
Have you ever been scared? Have you ever dealt with something that just freaked you out?
Yeah. So very good experience. This is in Chicago, the Congress Plaza Hotel, it was built for the World's Fair. It was called the World Exhibition in 1893. And I was doing a ghost hunt with my BFF Celine in Chicago. I mentioned her a little bit earlier. And here's the big thing is it's known for its ghost that's on by room 441, some kind of shadowy specter type thing that kicks the bed, scares people, and they go running out. I didn't have anything like that. But on the third floor of the South Tower, we were in the stairwell, and you can take the stairs between all the floors. It's 12 floors high. And I'm there with Celine, and she said, we're just walking around asking EVPs. And she just says, "Hey, G, my nickname is G. For G Money Hustler." Yes, I was inspired by 90s gangsta rap. And she said, "Someone's holding my hand." And so my gadgets, I walk up to her, and she's in the middle of the lobby on the third floor, actually not far from the front desk. And I go over to her with my Mel meter kind of thing. And there's this cone of cold around her. It was about 15 degrees colder than everything else around there. And I had my recorder, so we did an EVP session. And we got a couple of direct responses. And I said, "What's your name?" And we got James. "How old are you?" 5. "What do you want?" "Daddy." So when I went back and did the research, and in the hotel in 1921, it wasn't called the Congress Plaza Hotel at the time. I think it was still called the exhibition or the auditorium annex, something like that. And in 1921, Russian mobsters killed Irish mobsters on that floor, and a little boy was killed in the attack. And you can guess what his name was. So that's like the creepiest thing on an actual ghost hunt. Yes, it wasn't the ghosts that were scary. And this is another one from Chicago, private residence, and it was in the Bridgeport neighborhood, which is on Chicago's south side. So Selena and I, again, doing a ghost hunt. And little old lady, she lives in, if you've seen like Shameless, you kind of have those walk-up buildings and stuff with kind of big garden apartments in the bottom, that type of place. She's going to bingo. So she's like, yeah, I think my house is haunted by my husband. Can you check it out? And we were new to ghost hunting at the time. So we go to investigate, and we have the house to ourselves. So I'm just like, hey, I'm going to go check upstairs. She's like, okay, I'll handle things down here. And then we hear a thump, 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 and she starts screaming. It turns out the little old lady, her son was in the house, hiding in the closet, and he grabbed Celine and started to assault her.
No.
So remember, not so much ghosts you have to worry about. Like, I don't worry about the dead. I worry about the living at the haunted locations. So anyway, the police came, and, pretty much I stopped doing private residences after that.
I'm just trying to figure out why all of a sudden I haven't moved and my camera all of a sudden went blurry.
Poltergeist. Demon.
Weird. Now it's back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So everyone's like, why did you guys split up? I'm like, because we were in a modern house, and no one was supposed to be home. So
let's give a shout out to Merle, who's just
Merle,
who's just joined the chat room. Yeah. He's still trying. No, my name is Mike. No, my name is Mike. You're Merle, damn it. You're Merle.
He had a black-eyed kid experience too. Maybe he'll tell you about that one day. Maybe he already told you about it. I don't know.
Yeah. There's something different, Jake, when it involves children.
Mm-hmm.
I can deal with any type of ghost, but when it involves children, that's where I get scared. That's where it turns the level of creepy up to a whole different volume. The volume only goes to 10, but this takes it to 20 pretty rapidly, man.
Yeah. Creepy kids. Yeah. I gotta. But when I go something, I bring the boo buddy with me for if I know there's a kid spirit.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do children freak us out? The spirits of children freak us out a heck of a lot more.
Well, because we're dealing with a person that never got to grow up, never got to have a life. They were extinguished before they became an adult. I think there's something about, with children, innately, we want to help them. It's like we want the species to survive or something. So our drive is when we see kids hurt or in trouble, we'll help them. So when they die before their time, it's a tragedy, essentially. Like me, I'm a middle-aged dude. If I got hit by a car, everyone's like, sad, Jake's gone. But if I were 5, everyone would be like, oh, it's a real tragedy. And I think that's the case with kids.
Gloria wants to know, have you ever heard of the drowning child EVP?
No, but I want to check that out. I don't know the story at all. Or
I don't know that
scoop on that one.
I don't know either. Maybe Gloria can put it in our chat room, just a little description or something there. And
okay.
But I don't know, man. I remember my ex-wife and I, we were moving out of our duplex, and our side of the duplex was completely haunted. And there was a little girl in there. Her and I had both seen the little girl. And dude, it was to the point where, my daughter would clean up her toys the night before, because we always had bedtime cleanup. Mm-hmm. And when she woke up in the morning, there would be toys all over the floor, books, crayons, everything. So we're cleaning up the place. It's just my ex-wife and I were on the second floor by the bathroom, wiping down the shelves where our towels were. And out of the storage room we hear a girl's voice, "Mommy."
Oh, that's very Paranormal Activity.
My ex-wife dropped her towel, went completely white, like pale white, and she says, "F this, I'm out of here. I'm never coming back to this place." And we never did.
Oh, did you ever get any scoop on what was going on there?
I had a psychic that I trusted say there were 5 different spirits in that house. There was one in the master bedroom, because certain times at night, it didn't happen often, but at certain times, and this is going back 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It didn't happen often, but we would hear scratching in the closet. Like almost like a cat would be scratching on the walls. And so we kept thinking we had mice. But then our cats never reacted to it. And,
oh, wow. The critters didn't react.
Yeah. And so this psychic stated that we had because the place was old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Stated that there was a heroin addict who used to live in the house. He died of an OD. And he used to go hide in the closet to shoot up. And when he was tripping, he would scratch on the closet walls. Now, this is what the psychic is telling us, not what we're not leading him in, so to speak. There was one on the grounds, and I had an experience with him where I was standing outside letting my dog take a pee, and all of a sudden I heard the sound of a coin tapping against the kitchen window. Tap 3 times. And our power was out because there was a car accident, knocked out the power grid, and I quickly went inside thinking it was one of the kids. Go inside, the kids are all sleeping, cuddled in their beds. Oh, dude, the little girl was in there. The psychic said that somebody had died in the bathroom tub, and all of a sudden you'd be taking a shower, like whether it was the kids or my ex-wife or myself, be taking a shower, and all of a sudden you'd be overcome with fear that you got to get out of the shower. It was crazy, crazy in there. We had all of our teaspoons go missing. We had all of our drinking cups go missing. Like we were down to like 1 or 2 drinking cups and 1 teaspoon, never found. It was crazy, the activity in there. Jake, I'm going to get you to hold on. We got another half an hour with Jacob Rice from Agos. He's a technical guru when it comes to everything paranormal tonight. And we are having a great time with Jacob Rice here on Spaced Out Radio. We got him for another 30 minutes, and it's going to be great. We're going to take more audience questions. He's going to tell some stories, and we are just going to talk ghostly ghosts until the top of the hour. Then in hour 3, we got Swamp Dweller. We got John Hudson in the UFO Report, Shirky Poo's news, and so much more. Stay tuned. Just to our chat room, that was fantastic Merling. Absolutely fantastic Merling.
Merle.
Absolutely. Nikki, who's a psychic out of Seattle, she says, please tell Jacob that not only were you targeted by the supposed black-eyed kid, but it wasn't a true black-eyed kid, and that you were being tested. I don't know why, but that is disturbing.
Okay. So apparently I was just, by sending it on its way, not giving in, that was enough to know I was an easy prey, I guess.
Or not willing to accept it.
Yeah.
Which is cool, too.
Well, I mean, city boy. It's like, I don't care how old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes. That would be cool.
Yeah, I had a cryptid encounter. Well, I wasn't that cryptidy.
What happened?
But when I was a kid in Wisconsin, yeah.
Dogman or Bigfoot?
So like I can tell you, so this is, northern Wisconsin. So, it's like Manitoba cold, right? Manitoba snows. And it was about a week before Christmas. We were having a big old storm. And where I lived, our neighbor had goats, sheep, and stuff like that. And so it's probably like 8 at night. And it's the kind of thing where you're having the blizzard, but it's a thunderstorm and you're kind of getting that silent lightning happening. So I could see out my bedroom window, and we had this partially collapsed well. It was full in, like you're not going to fall 20 feet to your death or anything like that. Anyway, so the guy's goats are in our yard.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
When you're craving the delicious Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich, time moves more slowly, like in this commercial. Because waiting for 3 crunchy chicken strips for 9 seconds feels more like an hour. Imagining melty cheese for 8 seconds seems like a fortnight. And picturing tangy buffalo sauce and creamy ranch for 13 seconds is like an eon. That's a long 30 seconds. But this sandwich is so worth it. The limited-time Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back. Just like you like it.
And it's walking up, and something big and black grabs one of the goats and yanks it into the well. We found it dead the next day. It got gutted. So I was just thinking it's probably a black bear, but we never had any black bear. It definitely wasn't a wolf. Where I lived, we had wolves and but not really black bear. But yeah.
Since I moved up here, there's only been 2 times when I've been scared in the forest. The one time we were checking our Bigfoot gifting site, and we were walking in through the trail, and at times it was confusing in there. And I pointed, I said to my friend, we got to go this way. Took 3 steps, and something growled at us from about 30 feet away. Didn't see it. Okay, didn't see it, but it was a deep growl. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, I am here. You're in my territory. Get out. And I literally put my hand up. I said, thank you. We're going to leave you alone. Do not come forward. And you know what? It didn't come forward. And what makes it interesting about that story is it either had a kill there, or I don't know what it was. Realistically, I think it was a black bear or a cougar. Okay, realistically. But where I don't believe it was a bear is this happened in September. Okay, bears are foraging in September here because they got to get fat because the winter can start at any time. If that was a hungry bear, it would have checked us out.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not leaning towards a bear. I'm leaning more towards a cat. And I'm thinking, like, it was weird. But the next time, we're building a rock garden in our front yard. And up here, there's a lot of pumice and lava rock because this whole area is volcanic. And we got this really cool, I don't know what they are, but they're like blue rocks. They're like a teal blue.
Okay.
They're really cool. And we were out looking for rocks for our rock garden. And so I'm standing by the vehicle, and my partner and our son go out and look on this trail. And all of a sudden, the entire forest goes quiet. And they're probably 100 feet away from the vehicle. And when the forest goes quiet, you get in your vehicle. Because you don't know what is coming up. Is it a grizzly bear? Is it a black bear? Is it a cat? Who knows? That's the only time I got really scared in the forest because I was unarmed, right? We got about 40 seconds. Hi, Alien Critter. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Witchy, thanks for coming on in. And I believe that's it for... I said hi to Tony. Reminder, if you are going to the Vegas party, the address is up on the screen. Go to our website. confirm that you are coming. Derek Cook, how are you? Nice to see you. Confirm that you are coming by clicking on that, emailing us at info@spacedoutradio.com. We got some cool stuff happening. We want to see you in Vegas in a couple months. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. All right, Jacob Rice is here till the top of the hour. Technical Paranormal. He's a tech gadget guy when it comes to all things ghostly, and he's part of A Ghost out of Seattle, which is Ross Allison's team. His first time being on this show. We're glad to have you, Jacob. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're talking ghost stories here, man. And you've had a couple of real interesting encounters that you have told us. You know, for you, at this point, you've been doing this a long time. Do you still get startled? Do you still get scared?
You know, when it comes to the ghost hunting, a lot of times you find out the creepy stuff after the fact. And not necessarily in real time, like cameras. Cameras are one of my big things. And a lot of times you don't actually capture it, or you're doing other things and you don't always notice it on your film at the time, you know, especially if you're using a digital camera. So probably one of the, like, you know, holy crap moments I ever had was with a full-bodied apparition. But it was on a camera, and when I went to review the film afterwards, I was like, whoa, because when I captured it, I didn't see it. You know, it was on the camera, it was on the digital film. So there's not much, you know, with ghost hunting. It's like you're not going to get startled. If you get startled, it's going to be someone's dog or someone's coming around the corner, you know, and you're not expecting him, you know, because of that, everything's dark. So I can't say I really get startled so much. It's been a while since I was startled. So, you know, I wish I could give you more of a zinger response to that one, Dave, but, you know, I'm kind of numb to that stuff nowadays.
What do you want to experience?
Oh, geez. One of my favorite things, like the Golden Grail, is I would like it if I'm sitting, you know, I've got some gadgets out, right? And I've got my camera. I always travel with a camera. A ghost can tell you that. I always go with the army of cameras. I would like it if something would manifest or start interacting with me. You know what? Actually, I have had that experience, and I probably poo-pooed it. So I can give you a ghost story about this experience if you want.
Yeah.
This was at the Walker Ames house in Port Gamble. And one of my big things, I always got my camera and I always do engagement objects. Trigger type objects. So, you know, you can put a teddy bear out, something like this, and this goes to creepy kids, Dave. And I'm in the attic with fellow ghoster Bob Foster. Shout out to Bob Foster. And we're in the attic, and I put toys out because it's thought that there's a little girl spirit up there that likes to play. And so I put out a Boo Buddy and some gadgets, like little balls that will light up and stuff, not cat balls. And, you know, about 10 to 15 minutes of just asking questions, we start getting the response. And there's this kind of caterpillar toy that lights up and giggles and everything. And, you know, we were asking questions like, do you want to play with us? And it went off. And it was responding as we asked the questions, like, you know, what kind of games do you want to play? The caterpillar goes off again. And, I'm saying we have to leave soon, and it goes off again. And so there's this 15-minute period when we talk about specific games, like I talked about dominoes and other things like that. I have no idea what time period this kid comes from, but I was figuring it was around 1900, so they should be familiar with dominoes. I'm asking questions like that. And we were getting those direct responses for that for about a 15-minute period. That's on my website. If you check out the Walker Ames Port Gamble Ghost Hunt, you can watch the video for that. But ideally, that is full-bodied apparition, shows up on camera. Could be adult, could be kid, wants to interact. That would be great. I have captured full-bodied apparitions before, but they didn't interact.
Is it for you still about just ghosts? Or are you starting to get more like David Weatherly, where there may be this invisible thread that ties all of the phenomena together?
Oh, I wish I was more educated with more of the other types of paranormal. Like, I'm not a UFO guy. I like my cryptids. I'm more on the search. I'm more into the search for undiscovered species. Like when, say, you're looking for a giant squid, right? They finally found the giant squid in Japan, I think it was. But I'm still pretty much just with ghosts. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something dealing with the natural environment that makes paranormal things occur more. Sometimes you could say like ley lines, for example, or you've heard about Alaska Triangle, Bermuda Triangle, those types of anomalies in the physical world that allows the paranormal. I'd be into researching that, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Do you want to?
I do. I actually am looking forward to getting into more cryptozoology. And this is just mainly as a kid, because we had, you might have heard of it, the fearsome creatures of the North Lumberwoods type things, like the hodag and all of those kind of monsters. I've always been into that. I would be really interested, and everyone looks at me funny when I say when I say this. I would like to go on a Wendigo hunt.
Not me, man.
I'm Dogman. I am into my canoids.
You're into creepypasta type stuff.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I don't want to meet Slender Man. I'm going to stay away from Slender Man. I have had a Hat Man experience though.
Oh, tell us that.
Oh yeah. So this is, I lived in Los Angeles for a little bit in the Los Feliz neighborhood, and the house I was living in, I don't know what was with it. I will say this is about the time I was really getting into ghost hunting in LA. And I gotta say, when I first start going on my research binge, preparing for new ghost hunts, new locations, I tend to have experiences and then they die down. So like when I first got to Seattle, that's when Walker Ames happened. When I first got to Chicago or started ghost hunting in Chicago, that's when I had Congress Plaza and the elevator experience, right? So in LA, I was sleeping. Actually, it was dawn. I was waking up. It was a school day, right? I had to go to work. And I'm getting up, and I thought I was just having sleep paralysis. But the thing with that, and if you're not familiar with sleep paralysis, old hag syndrome, you might have heard that, where you can't move, and it feels like something is smothering you. And my dog, I had a boxer at the time named Rhea. She started going crazy. She stood up on the bed and was barking. And so, you're kind of like stuck. And I'm like, I've never had sleep apnea or anything like that, but it felt like I had a heavy weight on my chest and I couldn't breathe well. And, you're making those weird kind of sounds, And by the door in the bedroom, probably 7-foot tall figure, black with a big top hat, was there. And when Rhea jumped off the bed, it went away and I was fine. Happened one time. I call these things like these one-time events. I call them boo moments. Yeah, because it's like boo, something just totally out of left field you're not expecting. And I maybe being a ghost hunter, it opens you up to more of these things.
No idea.
So these can happen, but that's not something I was expecting. That's kind of like black-eyed kid syndrome. Same house though.
Very
I'm
true.
FaceTiming with my BFF Celine back in Chicago, and my back's turned to the door, and the door slammed shut, and she's like, "Jake, someone's hand reached through the door and shut that."
Oh.
Like if you could imagine the white door and a hand. So there were weird things. That house isn't known for being haunted either.
Oh my. That's just so wrong. That's just so wrong. It really is. I got a question here from Nicole, because you're more of a scientific guy when it comes to everything. But there is a intuitive consciousness type of side to the paranormal as well, and the entire phenomena. So she's asking, what are your thoughts on soul contracts and choosing to come here?
So is this someone has passed and they come back for a specific person or a specific reason?
Could be either.
Okay. I'm not really familiar with that type of thing. Like, I've definitely explored the technical side of things. I haven't necessarily explored a lot of the intuitive. I'm sure it could happen if you're thinking someone could have an attachment to someone. There could be a crisis. We have crisis apparitions, for example. Someone could come back as a warning, maybe to keep someone from getting hurt. So it's not something I've really looked into. I don't. It could happen. It very well could happen, though.
Yeah, I don't mean this to sound crass towards you, but do you feel? I know you're focused on the technical side of everything, but do you feel if you got into that spiritual aspect, the emotional aspect of everything, that it would bring down your focus?
No, I would be open to cross training to develop that side to help with the technical side of it. Like I said, we talked about certain people may have something that resonates about them, and whatever gadget they're using, they can get. I think that would be, that person may have some sort of intuitive psychic thing. I mean, I'm as psychic as a rock. I'm as logical as it gets, as all get out. So it's something I would definitely have to work on.
All right, let's get to another question from Nicole. Different Nicole this time. What about poltergeist activity? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, I don't discount its existence. I think there's some debate if it's psychic, if someone is, say, a telekinetic, versus there's enough energy for a spirit to take that kind of action, because ghosts tend to be pretty weak. It takes a lot for them to move things if they can. I mean, this is why I use engagement objects. And usually once you get some good engagement, they're gone. So, if you were going to say, where do I have to put my bets, what my opinion is, I would say it's more of telekinetic phenomenon with some sort of psychic person in the house versus it being, say, a pissed off spirit.
Okay. So do you think then that a lot of the theories are that poltergeist activity is brought on by the human rather than by a ghost itself?
From the cases I've read, and poltergeist activity isn't that common. It tends to be more linked to a specific person than just random happenstance. And it could be, and some people could just have psychic flare-ups. We investigated a case for a ghost in Seattle, and when the couple was fighting, things would go flying off shelves. So and that's why I'm thinking it could be more of a telekinetic manifestation of living people versus angry spirits.
What is something you want to accomplish in the ghost hunting world? Is it about accomplishments? Is it about just learning? What is it for you?
For me, it's learning. I've always been curious about the unknown, and to get to, if we ever got to the point, especially with the tech, where we could prove some of the phenomena or what causes some of the phenomena, and it could be, we didn't know black matter existed until more recently. Maybe there's some kind of thread in the universe, say, connecting some kind of magnetic spectrum, something that opens or bends, and we have ghostly activity that would be an ideal scenario to figure out what could be the root cause of it. From a natural perspective, if it is natural, like for example, we're talking about the time loops, right? The interdimensional thinning, stuff like that. If we could get to the point where if that was true, we could measure it, that would be great. And I think, it's decades off. I'll probably be dead when it happens. But hey, who knows what they'll pull out of MIT, right?
No, very true. Very true. For you, though, is it about proving life after death?
It is actually not about proving it. I would want to find the root cause to the activity. And if it is life after death, great. If it's something else, great. But I'd like to get to the point where we have more certainty about what causes the phenomena.
See, for me, the hard part I have with everything paranormal, and the reason why we don't do a lot of paranormal shows, is there doesn't seem to be a lot of clear-cut answers of what people are investigating. And I think they almost hype themselves up a little too much with the idea that they're out there to solve something. When you ask them what they're going to solve, they have no idea what they're even solving. Do we need more goals in the paranormal?
Yeah, I would say, like, one of my big things is that's funny, Fab. Like for my process of ghost hunting, it's a very simple acronym that you can use for anything. It's ROPE: research, objectives, programming, evaluation. Research exactly what it sounds like. Research the location, its history, previous reports. Objectives, what you're trying to prove on your ghost hunt. And it could be like if during the research you find out there's a lot of EVP in a shadow figure. The programming part of it, like you would set objectives to do that. Like, my goal is to capture EVP, ghostly voices, shadow phenomena. Programming is what experiments I'm going to run to do that. And then the analysis and review at the end of to see if you've actually proved that case. For the field, the one thing I wish is pick a location and research it long term, because as we found out with all the different groups, they're always getting different results. So you have to understand what's happening in the environment, and you have to understand what happens over the long term, just like any scientific breakthrough, right? Like take the polio vaccine back in the day. It took, 10 years to find it, and it killed a bunch of kids, which is awful. But still, you have to take that long-term mentality and consistency in investigating and a commitment to investigating so you can build that book of knowledge, so you can finally glean the insight that you need. Right now, I think everything's too scattershot. And it doesn't help with paranormal tourism. Don't hate on me, Ross, where you're always having a bunch of different people come in with different levels of experience. Because at the end of the day, you may not get quality outputs out of that. So it's very hard to go back through the archives, review the data to come to a conclusion.
With classes in crisis communication, influence, and data presentation, Gonzaga University's online Masters in Communication and Leadership equips you with the tools you need to communicate clearly and encourage creativity in any industry. Concentrations in digital media, strategic communication, and global leadership allow you to customize your degree. Visit gonzaga.edu/communication and learn why a master's degree from Gonzaga can help you take your career to the next level. That's gonzaga.edu/communication.
Careers at Mayo Clinic are life-changing for employees and for our patients. The Center for Digital Health creates digital products and seamless patient experiences through simplicity, innovation, and the human touch. We are currently hiring in critical areas on our team, including product development, experience design, data and analytics, portfolio management, and more. Join us in the Center for Digital Health. Become part of Mayo Clinic's mission. We inspire hope and create new ways of delivering trusted healthcare solutions for patients around the world. Visit jobs.mayoclinic.org/CDH-jobs to find out more.
Present time and set things up for further investigating in the future. I might have rambled too much there, but
no, I think that's a quality answer, though. I mean, you're allowed to disagree with your fellow ghost hunters. Mm-hmm. You're allowed to disagree with the conclusions, and you're allowed to be on different journeys and aspects regarding that. But in the end, there has to be an end goal. And the biggest question in life, outside of is there life outside the universe, is there life after death? I'm just surprised at how many ghost teams out there don't even have a focus on what they are trying to solve, which to me makes it seem a little bit more like we're there for the fun aspect of everything and the thrill ride rather than actually solving any mysteries.
Yeah, and I think I'm not going to crap on anyone's lawn about how they approach their ghost hunts. For me, the important thing is to say what you were looking for, what were the results you got, and I might want to replicate them. That's all. They might have some unique phenomena. And I think it's important to see if you can repeat the experiment. I know this is where the scientific method comes in. But at the end of the day, that's the only way you can solve it, because if you can replicate it, that means it exists. And so that way you can study it further. And I think that's very important. And that falls into anything that's for new discoveries, from engineering to science it all follows that pattern. And I wish we had that type of commitment in the field. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are in it for a thrill. That's great. If that's really your thing, book the paranormal tourism stuff, go have fun. But let me stick around after the tour is over so I can do what I need to do.
Do you want the mysteries to be solved?
That's a really good question, because in a way, when you solve the mystery, it's time to move on to something else for me. And if that's the case, then I'll totally get into cryptozoology. And Dave, we'll go up, we'll do some Bigfoot research and everything. So I am a Dogman fan.
As long as you don't become a squatcher, I'm okay. I'm okay. Right? I'm okay with that.
Okay.
God, I hate that term.
One of my just on the cryptozoology, I know we're getting to time and stuff, but my wish list, when my time and interest in ghost hunting wanes, I want to become a lake monster cryptozoologist. I love river monsters, lake monsters, ocean monsters. If it's an aquatic critter, I'm there for it.
There are certain things that I want to experience, man, that I want a close encounter with the Sasquatch.
Ooh.
Okay, when I saw when I saw the two Sasquatch in the forest, I was within 100 feet of two of them. Mm-hmm. I want that close encounter, 15, 20 feet. I want that to be walking through the forest one day and see that stairwell that just happens to be in the middle of nowhere that they say you're not supposed to climb. Yeah, there's a lot. I want to see little people, like First Nations people claim to have these trickster little people. I want to see gnomes. I want to see a lot of things, man. I would love to see another UFO landing. I'd love to be face to face with an alien again.
I didn't know. I haven't heard this story, Dave. We're going to have to talk about that at some point.
Yeah. April 2014 was a very powerful, life-changing month in my life. And we'll get into that another time. My friend, okay. we have about a minute to go here with you. Do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your information, your podcast, everything.
Oh, yeah. So pretty easy for everyone. Go to ghostlyactivities.com, hit contact me, fill out the form. The podcast is on the website, too. It's built right into it, so you can get it all in one spot. The podcast, I will say, I did quite a bit of debunking of urban legends with it. So, if you're married to a certain spirit like Resurrection Mary and stuff, you might want to pass that episode on and go check out some of the other things. But it's loaded with ghost hunting tips. I even go a little woo. I do how to protect yourself from ghostly energy training, or draining. I've got all those how-tos on the website if you want to check it out.
Sounds perfect. You know what? I'm so glad that over the last year we've got to know each other, my friend. And I think you are one of the brilliant hidden minds in the paranormal field that more people need to pay attention to, Jake. And I truly mean that, not just because you're on Angry Ghost Hunter on our channel, but I think you have a lot of information on a technical side and an investigation side that could help a lot of people looking to get into ghost hunting. So congratulations on that, my friend.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to hear that from you, Dave. I'm blushing.
Well, I'm blushing too, because we're going to head out to hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio. Next, we're going to enter the swamp. Swamp Dwellers up next, followed by John Hudson in the Unbiased UFO Report. On the back end, Shirky Poo brings us the news. Hour 3 is next of Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
And we're clear.
Okay.
Yeah, I got, long story short, I got called outside at a friend. My friend used to have this 10-acre piece of property. There were only 2 houses on the street. There was his, and there was the neighbors beside them, the elderly neighbors. They were probably in their late 60s. So my friend had 10 acres. They had 6.5. And both properties were surrounded by forest. And one night, they had a lot of weird shit happen there, dude. Ghosts.
This is in D.C.?
Yeah. Ghosts, cryptids, everything going on there. That's where I saw the up close and personal with 2 Bigfoot. And long story short, got called outside and went outside into the back field and felt this amazing, weird, strange energy. And so the lady I was with, the lady of the house who I was with, her and I went outside to investigate this. And I just said, you called us outside out of God's peace, love, and light. Can you show me where you are? And I'm talking in the same volume as I am to you right now. And about 150 yards away, way back by the forest, by where the old people had their barn, the entire tree line lit up like a Christmas tree. The brightest white light I've ever seen. And it was heavy, man. And then after 30 seconds, the lights went out. So I said, if you were of alien descent out of God's peace, love, and light, can you turn your lights back on? Boom. Lights come back on my command. And this time, in the middle of this white light, there is this blue cylinder standing vertically on the ground. And there's this black cloud that is rotating counterclockwise. It went all the way halfway up, then makes its way back down. And the trees in between the property were probably 60, 70 feet tall. So that's where I estimate the blue cylinder at being 20 to 30 feet. And turns its lights off. And then I said, just so I'm not crazy, out of God's peace, love, and light, can you turn your lights on one final time? Boom, lights come back on my command. And then after about 30 seconds, it ended. And there was no sound, no nothing. It was gone. And
it's just not even like a pop or anything. Just
nothing. Gone. We turned to go back to the house. The lady looks up in the sky and sees this yellow orangish orb sitting in the sky or in the clouds. So we had low cloud ceiling that night. Your typical fogged in, low cloud rain. And it sucked itself back in. And as it sucked itself back into the cloud, that same white light that was on the ground went ripping through the clouds, and it was gone. 5 days later, I haven't slept in 5 days. I meet a young lady named Samantha Mowat. 25 minutes after meeting her, who's a lifelong ET contactee, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, her and I walk into the forest behind the house because she feels there's aliens there. And all 4 dogs that were with us walk into the forest. We walk 50 yards in. Samantha turns around looking all weird and says, Dave, where are the dogs? All 4 dogs were gone. Don't know where they went. We like stupid white people, keep walking. And we get another 50 yards in. She stands up on this stump and she's looking around and she goes, Dave, I don't want you to be scared, but I want you to look that way. She points north and she goes, tell me what you see. So for the next 3 minutes, all I said was, Samantha, what the fuck is that? Because 200 feet away from us, there was a 10 to 12 foot extraterrestrial staring back at us. 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Gray man, green man?
He was tan colored.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my life changer, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Ghosts don't scare me.
So the important thing is, what happened to the dogs?
Well, when we walked back after this incident, we walked back towards the property. All 4 dogs came running out to say hello to us.
Oh.
They sent the dogs back onto the property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Weird, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Today, that property is worth about $2 million, you know. But anyways, my friend, send me a private message with your phone number and a good time to call you tomorrow.
Okay.
So we can talk some business.
Okay. And I'll hop over and watch the third hour.
Yeah, or
just go to the YouTube channel. We're good?
Yeah. Just go to the YouTube channel. We're good.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Thanks, bud. We'll talk to you
tomorrow. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Jacob Rice, everyone. Literally one of the good ones out there. Love him. Love him. Do you think you would go meet them if it happened today, Dave? Yes, I would, Simon. Absolutely, I would. I would go in a heartbeat, and I would walk up to that craft. Ever so slowly, but I would walk closer to that craft. Hi, Body Tech. Good morning to you. Isn't Jacob Rice one of the good ones? If you want to learn about the paranormal, him and Ross Allison, they are people that you want to learn from. Totally want to learn from. Don't forget, UFOCon2022.com. Myself and Lynn Wallington will be speaking in San Francisco at the final weekend of February, so make sure you come on in to San Fran and hang with us. Here we go, everyone. Let's rock this.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Vacuist. Vacuist is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Well, it's that time of the night where we get a little dirty, we get a little dark. We head into the swamp as our man Swamp Dweller brings us another spooky creepypasta story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp.
Oh my goodness, why is this not firing now? What happened here? Why is this not working? It's not timed out. Hold on 1 second here. We're going to get this for you. I promise you a Swamp Dweller story. We are going to get a Swamp Dweller story here. Yes, we are. Why? because that's what we do here on Spaced Out Radio. We bring you the Swamp Dweller story. I don't know why. It's really weird. It's like this new little segment is haunted with my machine. I don't know why, but it just seems haunted. Why it doesn't go in, I have no idea. Let's try it. Here we go.
It was the fall of 2009, and at the time I was 16 years old. I lived in the central part of North Carolina. Nowadays, the cities are loaded with things to do for the Halloween season, but back then, the best form of entertainment I could come up with was to visit the Devil's Tramping Grounds with a few friends. The Devil's Tramping Ground is a local legend. It sits right outside Siler City, North Carolina, about an hour away from where I live. And I have just gotten my license, so why not? For those of you unfamiliar with the locale or its legend, the Devil's Tramping Ground is a perfect, circular spot of dead soil in the middle of the woods, deep in the mountains. Despite the greenery around it, nothing grows in that circle. The legend says that if you drop or leave anything in that circle, it is moved and or disappears by morning, as the devil supposedly comes here to plot his evil doings against humanity late at night, pacing in a circle as he thinks. That's the gist of it, basically. Siler City is a sticks and barns town with long, barren roads that seemingly translate to "don't stop until you get the hell out of here." It was on one such road where I began to feel uneasy. Rural roads always have that heavy Twilight Zone energy, and the road we were on, conveniently titled Devil's Tramping Ground Road, was completely lacking streetlights. The only thing illuminating the overworked asphalt was the fading yellow headlights of my 2002 Mercury Cougar and the useless glow of a crescent moon. In those dim lights, we began to see splattered graffiti on the road leading up to the location. Creepy things I didn't expect, but never really would have understood the impact of until I saw them. In white paint, the road was decorated in crude warnings. The one that I remember the most was, "The Devil Lives Here," and a huge white cross in front of the opening in the forest. I parked on the side of the road. The grounds was immediately not as creepy as I expected. It wasn't too deep into the woods. In fact, the clearing could be made out from the road. Not as menacing as I had imagined. Maybe it was the empty beer cans or red Solo cups lying all around. Obviously people partied here. Or maybe it was the jokes my friends and I started making almost immediately that calmed my nerves. But it was 2-something in the morning. We decided to catch Lucifer right on his hour, and I remember feeling less on edge than I was on the road. My flashlight would get eaten through the trees if I moved it upwards, so I focused the beam on the soil, truly more interested in finding signs of the paranormal than my friends were. It was 4 of us total. 2 of my friends went back to the car after a while. It was cold and there was not much to see. I stayed back with a buddy of mine. I brought a Ziploc with me, along with a pocket Bible, a rosary in my pocket just in case, and a stuffed rabbit that one of my best friends had given me. Before leaving, I scooped up some dirt and added it to the Ziploc. I found the prospect of dead soil so interesting and figured that maybe studying it under proper light compared to the other soil around will give me a better idea of what happened here. Alien radiation, climate change, sulfur, maybe the devil was just busy that night. In between jokes and complaining about the cold, we heard someone walking in the depth of the woods. This wasn't a mistaken sound. This wasn't a, "I think someone is walking in the woods." This was a definite sound and a definite feeling. This was deep behind the brush between the trees, and these footsteps were heavy and unashamed of being heard. This is the first time I noticed no crickets were in these woods. There was no sound other than us. And these steps. I was even more unwilling to lift my little flashlight, which was tucked under my armpit, and pointed towards the soil sample. My eyes didn't need adjusting, and so we stood there as I made out the shape of something in these woods. It was dark, but I could see it fairly well. It was tall, but not distinguishingly tall. It was human-shaped. It stood on 2 feet, and it walked, and then, suddenly it stopped. But then it would repeat itself, by walking, and then abruptly stopping. I think this thing was slowly making its way towards us. We were petrified. Neither my friend nor I moved. I don't even think we breathed for a second. I was so overcome with fear that I felt numb, but a little tremble ran through my entire body. We just stared. Later we would discuss how we both wondered if this thing had seen us, and talk about how we didn't want to move in case it hadn't. At this future time, we would also discuss the smell. It was an awful putrid scent, like burning feces and rotting eggs and rotten meat. I grew up Catholic, hence the Bible and rosary, and have always been told that that smell means the devil is around. That didn't help my case then. Even typing this now, I'm slightly trembling. The thing is that it stayed toying with us among the sticks in the forest. I say sticks because at the time, there was very little greenery. I was certain at this point that it saw me. I had that sixth sense feeling I was being stared right back at, and suddenly, I had an overwhelming fear, this unbearable despair. I realized, then and there, that my friend had been clutching the back collar of my shirt. I think I was so paralyzed with fear that I had ceased to feel anything but that numbness. I wasn't even cold anymore, but when I felt my friend's hand, I dropped everything in my arms and just hauled ass back to the car. Not necessarily running, but...
At O'Reilly, we know your tech teams need quick answers to their most urgent questions. They need to stay on top of new tech developments. They need a safe place to learn the technologies your company adopts. And they need it all 24/7. Well, they can get it all at O'Reilly.com. With the O'Reilly Learning Platform, your team gets live online courses, tons of resources, safe interactive scenarios and sandboxes, and fast answers to their most pressing questions. Visit O'Reilly.com and request a demo.
Very hurried. I was sure my friend was behind me, but between us and in all honesty, I didn't even think about it at the time. I was just ready to go. I was so ready to go, in fact, that I missed the clear path completely and took off in between the trees and brush, heading towards the yellow glow of the headlights. It wasn't an incredibly long trek, like I said before. The road was right there, but it felt awful and long to me. And it was enough for those tiny branches to leave scrapes and even some cuts on my hands, cheeks, and neck. The whole ordeal couldn't have lasted too long. When I got back to my car, the keys were already in the ignition, and the other two friends were in there with the heat on. They both asked me what happened. The friend who stayed behind with me got in the passenger seat soon after, and we took off. Our other friends, the ones who had been in the car, pointed out that our eyes were swollen and bright red. I think we had been crying, or at least it looked like we had been. I looked in the rearview mirror, and my pupils were abnormally dilated. My eyelids were puffy and tender, and red. Keep in mind, this could all have some form of logical explanation. Maybe the fear made us cry without us knowing, and maybe the darkness combined with our nervous reaction enlarged our pupils. But it was still very odd. I realized long after that I left my Bible, my stuffed rabbit, and my Ziploc bag in the dirt circle. I considered going back the next day in broad daylight, but I haven't been back there since. I still wonder and worry about who has my stuff.
Weird. Very weird. Thank you, Mr. Swamp Dweller, for another amazing edition of The Swamp here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's get to some UFOs. Yes, we are joined by the fedora-wearing John Hudson and the Unbiased UFO Report as we look into the week's UFO stories that are happening around the world. Mr. John, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. Yourself? How are things?
I'm a little freaked out after hearing Jacob Rice's story of a black-eyed kid encounter at his front gate.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't doubt by any means what he saw. I highly question exactly what it is that he interacted with. I'm super curious.
I don't know, man.
That's a weird one.
I mean, the fact that he had a camera on his gate, and the camera picked up him and his dogs, but not the little boy that he was looking at, that's just creepy, man. That's actually an example of footage that really, really, really needs to be analyzed.
because one, is there any chance that there's any other angles that was taken in any way, shape, or form? But more importantly, is there anything you can glean from that video? Because if you actually have, I mean, if there's any amount of interaction going on by the other members of that video that are seen, that really like seriously infer that they're interacting with another individual that is clearly not there. I mean that's essentially proof of invisibility at a biological level or some sort. I mean that by itself is a landslide of information. So I don't. To me, like that needs to be investigated further.
Well, all I could say is you and Jacob need to have one of your geeked out weirdo conversations in order to have that, because I mean this guy here, he is on the ball when it comes to technology. That is for sure. Very sure.
Yeah. I was a little surprised and impressed by him. So yeah, so I agree. It's someone I want to talk to because I think our brains are flowing at kind of a similar speed. So might be a lot of fun to talk to him.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. What do you got for us tonight? Let's take a little peeky poo here. What do you mean by UFO coaxing? What's going on here?
Oh, you ruined it. I was going to say, I got nothing, Dave. I've just been sitting around playing video games. And you ruined my joke. So this is creepy. So first off, I mean, I don't know, and Dave, maybe you can answer this for me, but I don't know how much anyone should really read into where articles get published, right? I mean, in the science world, like where a paper gets published, unfortunately, does mean something. I don't know how much it means. So the fact that, for example, this article is basically on Medium, right? So it's just basically someone writing. I have no idea what that does to the credibility of the article. But everything that the article touches on is stuff that we have been completely aware of. And what this article is an example of, and the next article is as well, and this is kind of a theme for tonight's show, is these are examples of things where normal reporters, like real, like journalist type folks, like Dave, I think you've met one or two in your life, haven't you? I'm not sure, but but folks like that stopping and taking a double take and going, WTF? Like, no one's followed up on this. Like, how can no one have followed up on this? I mean, I've seen that exact reaction from you, Dave. I mean, it's almost like you guys all learned it in school. It's funny. And so here he calls out the bombshell. He says, in 2016, a formal operations plan to address UAP was drafted and submitted through the alternative the ACC channels at the DoD. Two persons I and Tim McMillan spoke with hinted at that a portion of the operations plan may have involved attempts to coax the UAPs into showing up, potentially involving the object's propensity for showing an interest in nuclear material. Now, according to this, limited follow-up that has been done has been met with doors and walls, because essentially this is nuclear material in some cases. This is all, even if it wasn't involving coaxing UFOs to be top secret. But think about this. What this is implying is that we are intentionally taking radioactive material and taking it places and going, here, kitty, 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 here, kitty, kitty. And honestly, personally, I think it's I love that idea. But I got to say, like, those are usually ideas that I like that everyone else doesn't. So I'm be very highly doubtful whether the whole public would support this method.
Okay, so with this coaxing of UFOs, I mean, what's the difference between what they're writing about coaxing and people who claim to be able to summon craft?
The resolution of crazy? I don't know, Dave. Like, I don't know. Like, that's a hard one, right? Because I mean, the thing is that it's not to say that I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying that it's not. There's lots of different ways to do it. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be doing it. I actually think it's really cool that they're doing it. However, the very fact that they are so confident in the existence of this other that they are applying different techniques for coaxing it out of the wild as if it's an animal. That takes this to a whole new level, in my opinion. And I've felt that way since I first read that, and it's always bugged me. And I was very happy to read this article.
Do you want, or do you think we need more study on this on a scientific level? Is there people working on that?
I think that there's actually quite possibly there's adequate research going on that on the DoD side. I would say on the private side, there isn't as much as I would like. There is some. There needs to be more. However, I think that coaxing. I think the very concept in a village of any one member of that village trying to reach out to a highly advanced species and communicate with them perhaps should be done with some coordination with the rest of the village. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's like, to me, it just seems like, taunting the, I don't know, like just, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
I do know where you're going with this. And the problem that we have here is when it comes to topics like summoning UFOs, which some people believe that they can do, how do you study the phenomena, number one? But number two, science doesn't want to, at this time, investigate woo. They think it's quite beneath them. And that isn't the fault of science. That isn't a fault of science. It's just that we haven't advanced science to the point where that type of and that level of consciousness may be something that needs to be looked at on a more mainstream level. So I can understand why there isn't a lot of scientific data looking in on this.
For sure. But the thing is that what this implies is that this had been part of the operational procedures for some time, and no one followed up on it. And that's kind of crazy to me, because the thing is that we don't know. I agree with what you're saying, but like, we don't. I mean, one, just the very fact that they believe that there are coaxing methods that exists is an astounding thing to admit, right?
Right.
Just point blank. That is just an astounding thing to admit. And I do think that there's some interesting work being done on this, because if he said this in mistake, I apologize, but it was Michael Hall that mentioned that when he was working with the UAPX folks, that he'd caught wind of some situation where they had played a whale song, and they'd actually gotten a reaction from it. Something showed up, and they got it on camera. And he wouldn't tell me anything more than that. He told it on the air, so it wasn't like anything, in private or anything like that. And he's a lawyer, so I'm assuming he knew what he was doing. And the thing is that's a private. Those are former military, but those are private citizens doing it on private money. And we'll find out. I know they have their NDAs for all the stuff, but if that's true, holy smokes! I mean, one, wow, and two, Star Trek 4, right? Like, who would have guessed it, right? Like, whale song, like crazy.
No, it's just the way it goes, man. I mean, we must be looking into, at least those in the dark side of science, and I don't mean dark as in bad, but in the Black Ops project, must be looking for some sort of consciousness signal that is bringing them in.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is that even on the flip side of it, even on the CE5 side of it, yes, I understand the disenchanting with woo, but the thing is that if you have someone that can do some, interpretive dance and get some effect in the sky to happen, and like, I'll be nice. Let's say that they get it to happen 70% of the time. 70% of the time, Bob does his little dance, something happens in the sky. that's actually repeatable. That's something that you can study. That's replicatable. That's a good thing. So to me, it's kind of ironic and beautiful that we have something that's actually potentially replicatable and might lend itself to science, but it's wrapped in this incredibly fluffy package of woo with Stephen Greer sitting on top with a big grin on his face.
Of course. And nobody wants to admit that the woo has potential. Nobody wants to admit that.
Well, the thing is, yeah, agreed. And the thing is that, but anyone who's been doing any research will see that much of what Stephen Greer has done has been to kind of Disneyfy a process that has been floating around humans for thousands of years.
Very true. Very true. John, I'm going to get you to hold on right there as we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. John Hudson's unbiased UFO report will continue when we return on Spaced Out Radio. John joins us a couple times a week to break down all of the latest UFO news that is coming on. You can also catch him on our YouTube channel, the SOR After Hours Show with Gemma Jade and Big Willie every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. Later on this half hour, Shirky Poo's news, the thought of the day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. Thank you, Apollo, for that wonderful super chat. Really do appreciate it, buddy. Thank you to Coral over in the UK, Teresa, Thomas, Jeffrey, Dry Toast, Cat Chaser, Terry, and Smithy as well. Don't forget, Lynn Wallington will be back this weekend, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, on Saturday and Sunday with Spaced Out Weekend. We're glad to get her back. She's feeling very, very well, considering after battling COVID for the last week. So she is excited about her return this weekend. Make sure you all go tune her on in. Hi, Clown Horse, Stephen Finnegan. Good morning to you. And who else has joined us here late? Let me see here. I think there was one more. No, maybe not. No, I lied. How's your Pepsi in a Coke bottle?
It was bummer that I actually left one at the park, so my daughter and I had to walk over to 7-Eleven to get a new one.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true.
But she got a Slurpee out of it, so she was pleased. Ooh, mixed cherry and peach. It was really good.
Very nice.
To someone's question earlier, yes, that is a whole thing. The whole Star Trek 4 movie, the whole movie, is about the fact that the aliens are actually talking to the whales and not to us.
Interesting.
Like, that's the whole premise of the movie.
Very interesting.
Basically what happens is they've been talking to the whales the whole time. The whales die off, and they get confused as to what happened. So they come here looking for the whales. But when they come here looking for whales, the amount of energy they're using to look for the whales starts destroying the planet. So they basically have to go back in time to grab a couple humpback whales from San Francisco Bay and bring them back forward in time and drop them off so they'll talk to the aliens and tell the aliens to go home. And that's actually the plot of Star Trek 4.
Beauty.
It's a great movie.
Beauty.
It's a really, if you enjoy Star Trek humor, some people don't like, some people only like Star Trek serious Star Trek. But if you enjoy Star Trek humor, that's a great one, because Spock with the headband on in San Francisco, it's so funny. Double dumbass on you. It's very good stuff.
And here I thought you were only about Guar.
You know, everyone's got to branch out.
You're amazing.
Guar is awesome. Honestly, I'm not even a big fan of the music, but I love Guar. I really do. I love them for the amount of energy they put into their theater. I really do. I think it's fantastic.
Me too.
You've seen them, Apollo? Was it pretty amazing? It had to have been it's the thing is it's such a unique form of theater entertainment. I mean, it really should be recognized for. I mean, I know they wanted it to be seen as a band because they wanted to all be part of. But I mean, it really should be recognized for what it is, which is essentially like a new generation of vaudeville in a weird way. You know, I mean, it's so cool.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah, they should probably it'd be neat to do Guar with like some seriously good musicians. It'd be fun. But I guess if you think about it, that's what like all like the Pink Floyd space opera things were like, you know.
I agree, man. Pink Floyd is just like the musical. It's a musical. It's amazing.
By the way, what you said the other night about the fact that it's been like 30-something years and like they haven't put out a new album or gone on tour and like what the hell? Yes, so agree with you. Not cool.
I agree. Need to change that.
So go ahead.
Need to change that. Might be too late though.
Yeah. Actually, in that new movie, Sing 2, it's actually funny. Like part of the movie is that there's this really recluse singer that hasn't sung in like 15, 20 years, and they have to get him to come out. And the actor who does the voice for this character is actually Bono.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they actually got Bono to do the character. It's awesome. It's really good. It's really funny.
All right.
He actually does a good job.
All right, buddy. We got 30 seconds here. We got 30 seconds.
Oh, thank you, Brazilov. That's local.
Oh, let's get rid of that bot. Here we go, buddy.
Moment of silence for the bots.
We rounded third. We're headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with John Hudson and the Unbiased UFO Report, continuing on here with what we are doing. And John, we always like it when you are here, my friend, and giving us high-quality UFO information a couple times a week. Thank you for that.
I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate you all sticking around to listen. And yeah, there's definitely some interesting stuff going on.
All right, let's get to these white blobs. What do white blobs have to do with UFOs?
Man, I got to say, like this is a little somber, you know, and you know, it's something that needs to be talked about. And basically, once again, it's another beautiful example, and it's another writer basically saying, look.
At O'Reilly, we know your tech teams need quick answers to their most urgent questions. They need to stay on top of new tech developments. They need a safe place to learn the technologies your company adopts. And they need it all 24/7. Well, they can get it all at O'Reilly.com. With the O'Reilly Learning Platform, your team gets live online courses, tons of resources, safe interactive scenarios and sandboxes, and fast answers to their most pressing questions. Visit O'Reilly.com and request a demo.
When you're craving the delicious Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich, time moves more slowly, like in this commercial. Because waiting for 3 crunchy chicken strips for 9 seconds feels more like an hour. Imagining melty cheese for 8 seconds seems like a fortnight. And picturing tangy buffalo sauce and creamy ranch for 13 seconds is like an eon. That's a long 30 seconds. But this sandwich is so worth it. The limited-time Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back. Just like you like it.
This just came out, and none of you all did a damn thing with it. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, this is serious, And I mean, that's essentially the whole tone of the article. But once again, it's off a website called Unknown Boundaries. I have no idea what kind of readership it's going to get. But what it does is it calls out specifically some very important things. Like it says, okay, it talks specifically about the fact that Dr. Gary Nolan got involved. And he got involved in, let me give you a brief synopsis. I apologize. Sorry, this story actually really bothers me. So the whole synopsis is that there have been documented cases where pilots who have had close encounters with the others, that some of them have received brain damage that looks like white blobs under an MRI, and essentially is areas of the brain that have died, and so the immune system is attacking it and basically recycling the material. And so this is something you'll see in some other very unfortunate degenerative diseases. And so this is a pretty scary thing to be talking about. And the idea that some percentage of pilots that have been in proximity have seen this, and that enough of them have seen it that the government has actually reached out to Dr. Gary Nolan to actually look into this. That's, and it's not to say that this is, to anyone who's been in this field for a long time, this isn't shocking. I mean, I take it back. It's a little bit shocking, but it's not shocking that someone or anyone has gotten harmed by being in the proximity of something else, right? I mean, we all cut our teeth on Rendlesham, right? We all know the whole story. We all know that Burroughs was damaged, right? That he had his heart was in trouble. So we know that this happens. But to me, the fact that it's this blatant and it's this in your face, to me, is shocking, and evidently is to this writer as well. And basically, what he says is that that he investigated approximately 100 patients, mostly defense or government personnel or people working in the aerospace industry, and that he was his involvement with UAPs began after he was asked to use his blood analysis instrumentation, once again, Gary with his special machines, to help with the case of pilots who were receiving brain damage. When asked if he could describe the more abnormal effects the brain observed with the MRIs, Nolan said, "If you ever looked at the MRI of someone with multiple sclerosis, there's something called white matter disease. It's scarring." I mean, that's really unfortunate stuff. But what's really interesting is that what you have here is you have another case, and I mean, once again, we're not talking about a huge number of people, right? Every one of them is important, but my point I'm trying to make is it's not like this. I mean, it's like nowhere near what we've seen with some other conditions, right? I mean, Dr. Gary Nolan's reviewed 100 patients. Some percentage of those have been infected, but essentially, what you have is a real documented effect of some pilots who have had an interaction. After that interaction, they result in some level of brain damage. And that's a big freaking deal. And it's something that should be discussed in a much larger forum than, nothing against us, but Spaced Out Radio.
Well, I mean, if this is happening again with where we're getting, images on MRI of some of the results, I mean, how do we turn this into a study to try and prove that it's happening?
Well, I mean, I think I think right now there's no doubt that it's happening. What's probably in doubt by most researchers is what the catalyst for the effect is, what the source of the effect is. However, if these are military people, they know where they are all the time. So it's pretty easy to determine exactly where someone was once they started seeing those effects. And so it's much easier when you're dealing with a military patient to actually tie a specific location and time to an event than it is with the civilian. So that is possible. But yeah, I agree. It'd be challenging.
I'm just curious, if this happened to these people, what would be the results be on somebody like a Samantha Mowat or a Chris Bledsoe?
Or would it be nothing?
Does it depend on the type of being or the type of
Well,
craft?
That's the problem is that we don't see this universally. We don't see this from every pilot. Obviously we don't, right? Fravor's okay.
But hold on a second here. There is DNA evidence from the Stefan Mikulik case at Falcon Lake here from 1967.
I wonder. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, and and the thing that's very disturbing is that look, it's clear that however this is happening, it's not intentional, right? Because if you were trying to design a weapon, this isn't how you do it, right? I mean, this is obviously some sort of a weird side effect from some sort of technology or some sort of procedure or operation that doesn't harm them, that does harm us. And to me, it also brings up the other kind of, God, it's not like there's even one elephant in the room. It's like we have a whole pack of elephants in the room. It brings up this whole issue of why are some of these people healed and some of them aren't?
I don't know.
To me, that's another big story. That's another one of these big stories that someone should be, 2 or 3 people should be sinking, 10 years of their life into, and no one's doing it. It's driving me nuts.
Well, the other big question too is, I mean, if they are assuming that death has occurred in certain cases regarding this, it would really, really be intriguing to see how many pilots have died from these encounters. I mean, these are statistics, John, that will be locked up for centuries. I know, but
Dave, I got to ask you, and you can be as indirect as you'd like, because I'm going to be as well as I know I've seen one of those MRIs, and I assume that you've seen something similar, and it's disturbing. It's not a nice thing to look at. It's very hard to look at that and think that brain was healthy before it interacted with that whatever it was.
Well, I mean, I've looked at studies when I was in sports radio with CTE. And concussions. Now,
there you go. Yep, perfect example.
Now, I mean, seeing the brain activity in young men who've played professional contact sports, whether it's boxing, hockey, football and now mixed martial arts being the big four. I mean, seeing the brains in these men that's a perfect example. Yeah, I mean, it's
because we do have cases of men who are beaten to a pulp for years and they're fine.
Yeah,
nothing happens. And then you got this other guy that he gets 400 or 500 concussions, which is I guess normal for whatever. But he's 3 years into it, and suddenly a really nice person is now threatening his wife.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
Well, I mean,
that's horrible on every angle.
You look at a lot of football players. Famous one, Junior Seau. Famously of the San Diego Chargers, who had a murder-suicide with his girlfriend, and then he turned the gun on himself. And when they did the study on his brain, his family donated his brain to a university in Massachusetts that's looking into CTE. This is where they noticed that, I mean, he had the brain of an 85, 90-year-old man with dementia.
Yep.
And he wasn't even 50 years old.
Yep. And so think about that. So now we have direct physical contact energy, and we have some sort of field-based energy, both resulting in not exactly the same, but somewhat similar sort of brain damage, right? I mean, it's just, and brain damage is just such a serious thing. And the thing is that, this isn't the first time that we've had brain damage tip into the world of the paranormal. in that there have been many times over the years that the cattle mutilation research has dovetailed into the mad cow disease research.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if more military members come out with this. I mean, this is a scary study.
And let me say something really quick, Dave. My prediction, if someone asked me, what do you predict? What I predict is what will happen is some number of years from now, whoever is doing this will figure it out, and they'll go, "Oh crap! I'm so sorry," and they'll fix it, and it'll stop happening, and we'll forget about it. It'll just suck between now and then. I really do believe something like that will happen, but between now and then, we got some work to do.
I think the reason why this has been buried, John, is because we're not allowed to talk contact. We're allowed to talk about the craft. We're allowed to talk UAP. We're not allowed to talk aliens. We're not allowed to talk contact. We're not allowed to talk a lot of things.
All the icky stuff.
Absolutely.
all the icky stuff. Yeah. No, it's true. And the thing is that to a certain degree, at some level, I endorse the idea that it's not a bad thing for people who are new to this field to get to kind of enjoy several of the other deep wells of knowledge that you can go into in this field and research that for a couple of years before getting into some of these darker things, because they are disturbing and some of them are very hard to deal with. And so if you haven't really developed a passion for what you're researching, you could easily get shoved off.
Very true. Very true. You can get shoved off, but I mean, it doesn't mean that you kill the research. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my God! No! I just mean that you could have people that just for their own mental health concerns might have to bow out and do something else for a living because it's just too hard to deal with. But oh yes, my God! I mean, it's like no. I mean, this is a desperate need, right? Because I mean, the thing is like I said, this is not a weapon. I mean, look, well, I take that back. If this is a weapon, we are not dealing with an advanced life form. This is a very haphazard, silly way to kill people. Right, so it's obviously a side effect. We just need to figure out what it is and get them to fix it or fix it ourselves. It should be easy. If we were communicating, it would be.
Well, that's a story, John, that I know you're going to be on top of when it comes down to ET contact, UFO contact, and the military. Somehow I think this one here, though, my friend, is going to get swept way, way far under the rug, that it may never see the light of day again.
Yeah, at least not for a long time. Yeah.
That's true. All right, let's get over to Shirky Poo's news. Thank you, John. We'll talk to you in a couple nights. Tricky Poo has got us all up to date on the latest news of the weird and strange. Starting off in Los Angeles, where a home made famous by the 1984 slasher film, A Nightmare on Elm Street, has sold for almost $3 million. And it came with Bo Burnham's guest house. The house, which served as protagonist Nancy Thompson's home in exterior shots of the Wes Craven's horror classic, sold for $2.8 million after being listed for $3.5 million shortly before Halloween 2021. The listing said the home, terrorized by Freddy Krueger, had its interior redesigned in the mid-2000s before being sold in 2013 to Hustlers director Lorene Scarfaria. The listing includes a guest house, which itself was made famous by comedian Bo Burnham, who filmed his pandemic-themed special Inside in the domicile. Very cool. Would you want that house? I'm pretty sure that's a house that probably carries some serious juju with it. You know what I'm saying? It's got enough energy on it. I'd like to own it. Not going to lie. I'd like to own it. When you hear about UFO sightings, there often seems to happen in smaller towns, maybe less populated areas, but it's not always the case. One strange encounter happened in America's biggest city, New York. It was filmed by Hamid Vitalis as he walked to work in Brooklyn. Right across the river from Manhattan, he looked at the sky and noticed 3 orbs of light forming a pyramid, aka a triangle, seemingly hovering just right there. A plane flew nearby, and 2 of the lights immediately disappeared, while the third one slowly dimmed out before it vanished. As they do, an astounded Hamid can be heard asking on the video, "Where'd the lights go? Yo, where'd they go?" Yep. As to what Hamid filmed, one astronomer thinks that because of the orange tint, the lights could have just been sky lanterns. However, an aviation expert disagrees, suspecting that the lights are too bright to be a sky lantern or a drone for that matter. He feels they are planes coming into land at one of the city's airports, and that they don't disappear from the sky, they just turn and their lights point in a different direction away from the camera. Of course, these so-called skeptical experts are not actually quoted by name in this. On the other hand, there are plenty of people who believe the lights are coming from something otherworldly. One commentator on the video claims to have even witnessed the same lights and stated that they were definitely not any known type of aircraft. That one person wrote, "They had such an unnatural acceleration that they were there, then they slowly moved, then straight darted off." I'm glad someone caught it on video. There certainly weren't planes. They were a lot lower than planes. The FAA has not commented on the sightings, so it really could have been anything in the skies over New York. Poorly written. Sky over New York. There is no skies. Whoever pluralized the word skies got it way wrong. There's only one sky, and it's all around us. Just saying. Just saying. New research from LSU and the University of Florida suggests that more shark attacks occur during fuller phases of the moon. While the exact cause remains unclear, these hell-bent human-eating bastards, the researchers found that more shark attacks than ever occur during periods of high lunar illumination. Another reason not to go in the ocean. Now, fewer attacks than average occur during periods of lower illumination. Many types of animals show behaviors that are linked to moon phases, yet few studies to date have looked at the connections between the lunar phases and shark attacks. What makes this research important is the abundance of data that researchers analyze. Their findings are based on a global shark attack record collected during a 55-year period from 1960 to 2015, from the International Shark Attack File housed in the Florida Museum of Natural History at the University of Florida. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Well, look at all of you going into the ocean during a full moon. That's just grazing time for the great whites. Yep. It's the way we do it around here. Why not, right? So let's just eat some people. Thought of the Dave. How has technology influenced the way you ghost hunt, search for cryptids or UFOs? Nora, I just bought a new infrared camera to use for our CE5 Nanaimo group for field investigation. Some cannot be seen by the naked eye. Terry, I use my phone and thermal imaging camera and my senses. The senses are the most important thing. Nicole, I think when it comes to tech, we all decide how much money we can budget for what research we want to tackle. Then, of course, as soon as we want to buy something, the vicious cycle repeats with newer versions and upgrades. Oh, yeah. One more here. Let's go to Andy. No one does field work anymore unless it's for a TV show, and that really doesn't count. Lori, I just use my gifts to let me know what's going on, but would like to have a FLIR camera. That's for sure. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. We will do it all again tomorrow night. Thank you to Shirky Poo for the news, John Hudson for the UFO report, our man Swamp Dweller for spooking us out, And, of course, our guest tonight, Jacob Rice, talking all things paranormal. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
At O'Reilly, we know your tech teams need quick answers to their most urgent questions. They need to stay on top of new tech developments. They need a safe place to learn the technologies your company adopts. And they need it all 24/7. Well, they can get it all at O'Reilly.com. With the O'Reilly Learning Platform, your team gets live online courses, tons of resources, safe interactive scenarios and sandboxes, and fast answers to their most pressing questions. Visit O'Reilly.com and request a demo.
When you're craving the delicious Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich, time moves more slowly, like in this commercial. Because waiting for 3 crunchy chicken strips for 9 seconds feels more like an hour. Imagining melty cheese for 8 seconds seems like a fortnight. And picturing tangy buffalo sauce and creamy ranch for 13 seconds is like an eon. That's a long 30 seconds. But this sandwich is so worth it. The limited time Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back. Just like you like it.